I'm a DC superhero in Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 250, Willful Anton. The critical moment. Anton did not know about the abnormal situation of the Pegasus project within S.H.I.E.L.D. Even if he knew, he would only feel that everything was within his expectations and would not feel much surprise or accident. Anyway, it was not his turn to take action in the early stage of the New York War. S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers would be the first line of defense against aliens. When this line of defense was broken or unsustainable, it would be the best time for Batman and the Justice League to harvest fans and maximize their interests. The actions of Batman and the Justice League would not only calm the incident quickly, but also enable the military, which also had faults in the Pegasus project, to make up for their mistakes. In this way, all the faults would be attributed to S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers. The World Security Council could only bite its teeth and admit defeat. Anton thought flashed through his mind, and threw these thoughts behind him. Anyway, there was Harry Osborn as the eyes of the Justice League inserted into the Avengers. Harry would keep an eye on the situation until it was out of control, and naturally he would take the initiative to seek help from Batman. DC Company. Anton returned to his own company from Osborn to handle official business. Anton, Hellblazer has entered the post-production stage. With Quentin Beck's holographic projection, there is almost no room for special effects in the post-production stage, which saves a lot of time. We can produce a finished film in about half a month. Jim reported. The distribution company has been negotiated. As for the release date, I think it can be set in a month, leaving enough time for publicity. A month later, Anton narrowed his eyes and calculated the time. He didn't know how long it would take to get the New York War, but he knew very well that, based on what Harry had just revealed, the New York War would definitely happen within a month. The New York War had just ended, and the citizens probably wouldn't have any entertainment in their minds. The entertainment industry at this time would probably be very depressed, except for the bars. If the time was delayed again and again, once Johnny Blaze entered the plot, he would miss at least several million justice points. Even the Ancient One would come to the door. This was not good. 1 month is too long. Anton thought for a moment and said, I hope you can work overtime. Since the most important work such as post-production special effects has been omitted, what I want to see is that all the post-production work can be completed within a week, and it is best to release it the next day after the post-production is completed. 1 week? Jim was confused. This was not scientific at all. Anton, your request is too exaggerated. It is impossible to complete it. Even though he knew that Anton would never listen to his advice, he couldn't help but say, even if the special effects are omitted, it is still too difficult to complete the soundtrack, editing, and other work within a week. Even if we can make a finished film in the end, the effect will not be as exciting as we originally thought. Anton said lightly, don't tell me about publicity and market rules. I just want to see my movie released as soon as possible. But, Jim frowned and couldn't help but continue to persuade. Needless to say, I will be involved in the time-consuming work of editing and composing music. Anton waved his hand and said without question, in short, it must be done within a week and released directly next week. You go and discuss with the distribution company to prepare for the release of the movie. Jim was stunned. He looked at Anton's expression and knew that Anton was definitely not joking. Even if there was no post-production work for special effects, it would not be possible to complete it within a week. This is a movie with an investment of more than $100 million, not those messy small investments in bad movies that will be out of theaters in one round. Go, I don't want to say it again. After Anton finished speaking, Jim had no choice but to nod and admit his defeat. After all, Anton was the boss. Anton also knew what Jim was worried about. However, as someone who had seen the finished film, if he wanted him to cut out the essence of the movie, he only needed to do it according to his memory. With only 1 week, he could not make any deletions or changes to the movie, and the soundtrack of the movie was also relatively simple for him. I have seen the answer, and I can memorize the answer. Is it difficult to find a synonym for the answer in the music library? After the preheating of Anton's new film project and the promotion of some early film materials, Konstantine's fan value has reached an astonishing 17 million. This can be regarded as the best superhero, after excluding the natural growth after the movie. It seems that John Constantine's shameless performance in the work has indeed attracted a large number of people's attention. In terms of personal charm, Constantine is indeed not to be ignored. The thought flashed through Anton's mind, and he watched Jim leave his office, and he followed suit. Since he planned to participate in the post-production work and time was urgent, he did not intend to delay any longer, but came to the film and television department of DC. At the same time, he contacted several of his assistant directors and post-production personnel, and several people quickly held a meeting to discuss. At this time, Jim, who was on the phone to discuss with the distribution company, saw this scene, as if he had returned to the time when he first cooperated with Anton, when Anton was determined to do it. That time, Anton's The Mystery of the Paranormal brought him unprecedented success. Later, Anton was still in human form when filming the movie, but he was not as lazy as the first time. However, this time, Anton didn't know what was wrong with him, and he was so tight on time. Could he see another box office miracle? Jim sighed, pulled these lucky thoughts out of his mind, and had a heated conversation with the distribution company. Do you think I want to stop arguing and prepare for the promotion according to what we discussed before? Anton said that it will be released next week. Who can convince him? You can do it if you can. Money? When did you see Anton care about money? During the time when Anton was engaged in the post-production of the movie, the Pegasus Project base, all members of the Avengers guarded inside the base and revolved around the cosmic cube every day. Today's Avengers members are Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Victor Doom, and Harry. These 8 people. Among them, Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow and Sandman. These 4 have a half understanding of science and know nothing about it. The remaining 4 were all educated people. Except for Harry, who was slightly lower in level, the other 3 were definitely top scientists in the industry. The 3 were particularly obsessed with the cosmic cube. Dr. Octopus had been studying infinite energy for so many years. The failure of the artificial sun experiment almost made him unable to recover. Now the cosmic cube is similar to the artificial sun. He got in all of a sudden, as if he saw the goddess he had always dreamed of. Tony couldn't help but immerse himself in it. As for Victor Doom, he finally took this opportunity to come into contact with the cosmic cube. Even Harry, who had the lowest scientific research level, was shocked by the terrifying energy hidden in the cosmic cube. He suddenly understood why Anton said that the cosmic cube was a treasure of the universe and countless aliens wanted to get it. Time flies. A week later, the research on the cosmic cube really entered a critical moment. If the energy extraction is successful, the energy inside the cube can be continuously obtained, and terrifying dark matter can be created, and it may even give birth to people with extraordinary abilities. At this time, all the scientists led by Eric Shavig, as well as Coulson, Nick Fury, and all the Avengers arrived. Everyone held their breath, and looked at the cosmic cube in front of them, which was emitting a deep blue light. A wave of energy was gathering. The cables connected to the cosmic cube burst into fierce light. Victor Doom stared at the cosmic cube in front of him with an obsessed look, and the flame of ambition seemed to have ignited in his eyes. It's begun. His heartbeat accelerated, and he whispered to himself, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise, as if he saw the future in which he controlled the cosmic cube and dominated the world. Chapter 251 Doom, I will rule the world. Zzzzzzzzzz. Unimaginable terrifying electric current shuffled through the cable pipes connected to the cosmic cube. This terrifying electric current was directly projected out and hit the void. A terrible black crack appeared. Boom. A strong wind swept. A strange black substance was revealed in the crack. Is this dark matter? Tony's eyes were burning. This special substance has an unimaginable catalytic effect on the human body. According to his and many scientists' deductions, it is likely to induce mutations in the human body and give people superpowers. Yes, this should be dark matter. Eric Shavig was so excited that his face turned red and he clenched his fists as if he was standing in the highest hall of science. Coulson and Nick Fury also felt excited. For a long time, S.H.I.E.L.D. has suffered a huge setback, especially the emergence of Hydra, which instantly made S.H.I.E.L.D. the object of ridicule by countless people and countless organizations. Coulson and Nick Fury undoubtedly want to turn the situation around. The success of the Pegasus project gave them the possibility of reversing the situation. From now on, S.H.I.E.L.D. will become more powerful. Many thoughts flashed through their minds. At this time, the other Avengers around them were also shocked. Only Victor Doom suddenly laughed abnormally. It's time. Everyone, I can only say sorry, but today you will witness what a real miracle is. There was madness in his words, and he took a step and walked towards the cosmic cube. What? Victor, what are you going to do? Don't go over there. The energy released by the cosmic cube will kill you. The others opened their eyes wide and showed horrified expressions. Among them, Harry was more shocked than the others, but at the same time, he could accept the facts better than the others. Anton is right again, he murmured, and an unconcealable look appeared on his face. What exactly does he want to do? Then, another question emerged in Harry's mind. He really couldn't figure out why Doom would take the initiative to approach the cosmic cube at this moment. At this time, the cosmic cube released extremely terrifying energy. Under the operation of Dr. Eric Shavig, most of the energy was converted into electric current, and the other part spread to the surroundings, changing the surrounding magnetic field, forming an indescribable horror zone. In other words, anyone who approaches the cosmic cube will most likely be killed by the terrifying energy released from the magnetic field, leaving no trace of their bodies. Therefore, when Victor Doom approached the cosmic cube, no one dared to stop him. Cut off the power supply. Nick Fury saw something was wrong. Even though the experiment had reached a critical moment and cutting off the power would fail, he made the decision without hesitation. Coulson hesitated, and seeing that Nick Fury was very determined, he nodded and ordered, cut off the power. Click. However, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who were not far away from them did not take any action, but stood there stupidly, raising the muzzles of their guns. What? The muzzles of the guns were pointed at Coulson and others. Whoosh. Get out of the way. Tony knocked on the arc reactor on his chest, and his body was instantly covered with a layer of nano-shaped steel armor. Then he used the palm cannon with the lowest power to push Coulson away. Boom! Exclamation mark. A small pit was smashed in Coulson's original position by the bullet. How could this happen? Coulson swallowed his saliva, a little uneasy. He turned his head to look at the agent who shot at him, and found that this was one of his trusted men. How could he be a spy? No, not a spy. Black Widow shook her head. Look at his eyes. There is no focus at all. He is controlled by someone. Just like a few days ago, the agents lost control and attacked the base. It's that mysterious extraordinary person. Hawkeye seemed to be a little confused. He turned his head to look at Victor Doom, who had approached the cosmic cube in just a few seconds. Could it be related to him? Now it seems that, even if it has nothing to do with him, you won't believe it. Harry's mind moved, and the black armor covered his body. In the lounge not far from the base, a flying skateboard automatically swept through the corridors of the base. In just a few blinks, it flew to Harry's feet. In just a few blinks, he was fully armed. This is obviously not an accident. Someone is deliberately pushing this, waiting for the success of the Pegasus project experiment to plunder the fruits. Harry said in a deep voice, Victor Doom is likely the mastermind behind this. In fact, Victor Doom is not the only one behind this. Guys, it's time to fight. Harry is right. Captain America, Steve Rogers finally spoke. He no longer remained silent. His face was cold and his eyes were sharp. He locked Victor Doom and clenched the shield in his hand. Boom. He threw out the shield that countless people regarded as the symbol of Captain America's spirit. The shield was like a boomerang, fiercely killing into the magnetic field of the cosmic cube. However, the moment it was about to hit Doom, the shield was caught by Doom's hand. Boom. Captain, don't worry. Doom's palm was completely metallized, and the shield did not cause him any harm. More exciting things, you will see it soon. As soon as the voice fell, an electric current burst out from his hand, and he threw the shield back to Rogers fiercely. Bang! Exclamation mark. Rogers took the shield, and his body suddenly endured a force like a dragon's attack. His feet stepped into the ground, leaving a deep gully. Even so, he moved several meters before he stopped retreating. What? Seeing this, the others were extremely sure that Victor Doom was the one behind the scenes. Perhaps, the word one of them should be added, because the agents around them have been pulling the triggers on everyone present. Bang 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 bang. The muzzle flames erupted, and the bullets the size of peanuts cut through the air, containing explosive power, and fell on everyone in the audience. Sandman Flint, a true natural superpower, turned into wind and sand, rolled up, and the bullets passed through the wind and sand, shot to the ground, and exploded into sparks, without causing any effect on him. Hawkeye and Black Widow took the bullets expressionlessly. After being transformed by the extremis virus, they could easily withstand the attack of bullets. Harry and Tony's armor completely blocked any hot weapons, and the bullets didn't even leave the slightest trace on their armor. As for Captain America and Dr. Octopus, they used their equipment very sensitively, one holding a shield and the other using the mechanical arm behind him to form a protective wall. The most embarrassed were undoubtedly Coulson and Nick Fury. Neither of them had any special abilities, and facing a group of agents shooting with guns, the only way to go was to dodge the bullets. Therefore, they huddled behind the table in embarrassment, carefully poking their heads out to look. Stop him. Nick Fury saw that Doom was already facing the cosmic cube, and his face suddenly became panic. After experiencing the battle with Captain Marvel in the last period, he had an extraordinary understanding of the cosmic cube. If the cosmic cube was really controlled by Doom, it would become a huge threat. This is a disaster. No matter. Tony urged the energy and launched the palm cannon. Boom. The energy beam rushed out and killed Doom's back straight. HMPH. Doom turned his head and raised his hand to release a shield formed by electric current to block Tony's energy beam. What? Tony was surprised. He had learned about the abilities of all the members of the Avengers. The superpowers that Doom showed at this time were definitely a qualitative leap from what he had shown before. The control of electric current has reached such a proficient level. Tony frowned, and he began to doubt what Victor Doom had experienced in the past 2 months. Swish. The other Avengers looked at each other. The magnetic field created by the cosmic cube still blocked their steps, and they did not dare to approach Doom easily. They could only subdue the agents who were shooting around with guns. Bang bang bang. The agents posed no threat to them. In just a few blinks, the Sandman surrounded the entire area, wiped out most of the agents, and the rest were also dealt with by other Avengers members. Drive Shavig, you guys go. Captain America. Rogers looked at the researchers who were well protected, and a little frightened by them, and ordered in a deep voice, "It's dangerous here, leave quickly." Eric Shavig and others naturally understood, and did not dare to stay at all, and disappeared in the center of the base at the fastest speed. At this time, only Victor Doom could not be solved. Click. Rogers cut off the power supply immediately. But it was too late. Before that, Doom had already reached out to the dark matter, created by the cosmic cube, and the dark matter was absorbed into his body. Doom showed an expression of enjoyment. Then, he pulled out the sealed cosmic cube, and his body instantly turned into metal. The terrifying electric current reflected his whole body in blue. Too late. Harry sighed. Seeing the current situation, it was estimated that it would be difficult to stop Doom's actions. Moreover, he always felt that there was someone watching here in secret. That person might be Doom's accomplice. He has the ability to manipulate people's hearts and turn all the SHIELD agents into accomplices of the enemy. Anton is right. Harry's face under the mask was slightly gloomy. Doom is really problematic. He regretted not paying enough attention to Anton's reminder. Everyone, right now, a miracle has happened. Doom spread his arms in front of everyone, laughed loudly, and his attitude was unprecedentedly arrogant. The magnetic field generated by the cosmic cube has disappeared. Tony said lightly. The meaning of this sentence is very clear. Now we can join forces to launch an offensive against Doom. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. As soon as the voice fell, Hawkeye pulled out an arrow, aimed at Doom, and then released the bowstring. Captain America Rogers threw out the shield again. Dr. Octopus activated the mechanical arm behind him. Harry activated the armor with his mind and transformed it into a sharp tentacle, like a spear, piercing the air. Tony activated the palm cannon with the highest power. Sandman turned into wind and sand. Black Widow's whole body glowed red, and she pushed the energy of her body to the extreme. All the Avengers members tried their best to wipe out Victor Doom, the Avengers traitor. Too naive. Doom saw this, but he was not panicked. His whole body turned into metal, and his palms were shining with metallic luster. Zzz. One hand used electric current to hold up the cosmic cube, and the other hand clenched into a fist. Blue electric light danced in the center of his clenched palm. You are too naive. Doom's face showed a crazy smile. Now I'm a god. As soon as the voice fell, he opened his fist, and the lightning compressed in his palm suddenly burst out with terrifying energy, like an inverted bowl, suddenly spreading in all directions. Boom! Exclamation mark. In an instant, the huge impact force and the lethality of lightning were rapidly expanded at this moment. All the attacks from the Avengers members were instantly offset by the shockwave formed by this lightning, and all the Avengers were blown up by the remaining aftermath of this lightning attack. Even the elemental Sandman was no exception. Boom. Boom. The whole base couldn't stop shaking, and the structure of the wall was damaged by the terrifying force, and huge cracks appeared. With Doom's ground as the center, a huge pit emerged, almost spreading to the center of the entire base. Bang, bang, bang. The Avengers were blown away by the lightning attack, their bodies like rag dolls, without any resistance. Fortunately, their personal abilities are quite outstanding, and most of them only suffered minor injuries. Only Dr. Octopus was seriously injured. And the wind and sand that Sandman transformed into were completely scattered, and at this time they had not even reassembled into a human form. However, the most seriously injured were not the Avengers, but Coulson and Nick Fury. Even though they found a hiding place at the critical moment, their whole bodies were as if burned by flames. Large areas of their bodies were affected by the aftermath of the lightning attack, and many bones in their bodies were broken by the powerful shockwave. Ahem. Captain America Roger lifted the iron table that was pressing on him, looked at Victor Doom in the center of the pit, clenched his fists, and raised his shield. Doom, what do you want to do? Haven't you seen it? Doom restrained his smile, but the pride in his eyes could not be suppressed. I have done what I wanted to do. He put the hand holding the cosmic cube on his chest and showed it to everyone present. Cosmic cube. This is the key to my promotion to God. Doom said lightly, no one can stop me now. You are dreaming. Harry appeared in a mess and looked at Doom coldly. Even if you defeat us, there is still the Justice League waiting for you. Justice League. Doom sneered disdainfully. I have my own way. As soon as the voice fell, all the Avengers members regrouped. The scattered elemental bodies of the Sandman also gathered again. However, just when all the Avengers were ready, Doom in front of them twisted like a shadow and even produced waves like ripples on the lake. Not good. Tony saw something was wrong. Don't let him get away. Boom. All the attacks gathered at one point, easily piercing Doom's body, but did not cause any harm to Doom. This was just an illusion. You don't have much time. Doom's voice sounded again, boundless, as if coming from all directions, making it impossible to find any trace. Everyone, wait for me to dominate the world. After this sentence, there was no trace of Doom in the whole venue. All the Avengers looked at each other, and they all saw the resentment and discouragement in each other's eyes. They did not chase blindly. On the one hand, they knew that Doom had been preparing for a long time and most likely they would not catch up. On the other hand, the ability Doom had just shown completely broke their cognition. Even if they caught up, a full-scale attack would not necessarily work and take back the cosmic cube. After all, they all saw that in the dark, Doom had an assistant who could manipulate people's minds and treat ordinary people as puppets. At the same time, New York. After a week of busy work, Anton finished the post-production of Hellblazer and released it nationwide. At this time, he stood at the door of the cinema, watching the first batch of audiences who had entered the cinema walk out and fill out their movie reviews with a calm face. The system panel, that only he could see, had already revealed the answer to Constantine's fan value in advance. If there are any typos, please leave a chapter and add me. I'm in a bad mood and don't want to revise it. I didn't do well in the civil service exam, and my future is confused. I don't want to work. I don't want to be beaten by society. The author sighs. There should be another chapter. Try to finish it before 12 o'clock. Chapter 252. The Avengers are unlucky. Gloating over others' misfortune. Constantine fan value 18.23 million. Although the movie has just been released, Anton has seen the public's acceptance of Hellblazer through the fan value statistics on the system panel. In just 2 hours, the fan value increased by nearly 300,000. At this rate, a new DC hero can be exchanged in about a few days. This made Anton quite satisfied. On the other hand, Jim, who was still dealing with the release of the movie in the company and discussing the follow-up publicity with the distribution company, was still shocked by the release of the movie. He still doubted his life until now. Anton succeeded again. This success is not only about the release of the movie, but also his confidence in the quality of the movie. In just 1 week, the movie Hellblazer was fully promoted to this point. If someone else explained the facts to Jim, he would definitely sneer and cover his ears from the second word the other party said. When Jim saw the finished film, he even doubted whether Anton had already filmed the movie Hellblazer. In terms of the quality of the finished film, Jim could not find any faults at all and could not see any signs of rushing. Genius. In the end, he could only attribute it to Anton's talent. It is indeed a genius-like creativity. Out of confidence in the film, Jim increased the publicity efforts. Although this film was the result of Anton's rush, based on the quality alone, who dares to say that this film is shoddy? An investment of hundreds of millions is not a piece of cake. With Jim's professional ability, he is confident that this film will achieve the success it deserves. Of course. But Anton didn't dare to think so. Because the first thing Anton knew was that if the New York War happened within a month, this disaster would have a significant impact on the entire United States and even the world, and it would take time to heal the trauma. No, a week has passed, and it's less than a month. Beep beep. Hello, Harry? Anton narrowed his eyes when he received the call. I hope it's good news. Anton said, I don't want you to tell me now that something went wrong on your side. I hope so too. Harry sighed on the other end of the phone, his tone heavy. Anton, as you expected, the Pegasus project failed, and the Cosmic Cube was taken away by Victor Doom. I said. Anton suddenly paused. Wait, who? Victor Doom. Harry emphasized again, his tone slightly regretful. You reminded me to pay attention to Victor Doom before, but I didn't take it seriously. I'm responsible for this matter. Victor Doom. Anton held the phone. His expression changed slightly, showing an interested expression. So, I really guessed it right. He murmured in his heart, and then said, what exactly happened? Tell me from beginning to end, in detail. I have plenty of time. Push the time back to about 10 minutes ago. Secret base. The current Avengers members gathered here. In addition to Victor Doom, who defected with the Cosmic Cube, there are 7 superheroes left. Harry, Iron Man, Captain America, Sandman, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Dr. Octopus. Coulson and Nick Fury, who were seriously injured by Doom's lightning attack, have been taken to the medical room by medical personnel who rushed to the scene to treat their wounds. The entire base, after the brief battle between the Avengers and the traitor Doom, showed signs of collapse. Fortunately, it was just a sign. Someone checked the walls and structure of the base. Although there was a lot of damage, it was not to the point of direct collapse. After all, this base was built with an unknown amount of funds, so it was not that fragile. Victor Doom ran away. Captain America. Rogers looked around and said in a deep voice, at present, we don't know his purpose. But from the communication just now, he has the idea of dominating the world. He is a threat. Tony said. In addition, the changes in the agents, just when the incident happened, may indicate that Doom has an accomplice. Could it be that Doom has hidden his superpowers? Dr. Octopus said. No. Harry shook his head. Doom can't have the ability to control people's hearts. Don't forget why we gathered together. Isn't it because the agents lost control at the base? The time doesn't match. But Doom worked at the base for a period of time. Could he have hinted to the agents during that time? Black Widow questioned. The agents have been rotated. Hawkeye denied. After the agents lost control, I investigated them. These agents had no contact with any of us and never appeared in the same place. Doom had no chance to control them. So, he must have an accomplice. Flint, who was not good at thinking, finally came to a conclusion. No matter what, find a way to locate Doom. We must take back the cosmic cube from him and stop all his actions. Captain America, Rogers said in a deep voice, and looked at Iron Man and said, Tony, can you track Doom? You can try. Tony nodded and looked at Dr. Octopus. Otto, I need your help. I'll be right there. Otto replied. I will mobilize all the resources of Oscorp, hoping to locate Doom. Harry couldn't help in this regard, so he had no choice but to speak. Stark Industries will also do its best. Tony immediately followed. Natasha and I will be in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. Hawkeye also took responsibility. The remaining Sandman and Captain America, both of whom were powerless, especially the former, who couldn't help at all. He could only shrug and say, sorry, I can't help in this regard. After a short exchange, Harry left the base, thought for a moment, and called Anton. So that's how it is. Anton listened to Harry's explanation and thought about it. He had completely understood the cause and effect. Doom's accomplice is undoubtedly the evil god Loki. In the original plot, Loki hypnotized Eric Shavig and asked Dr. Shavig to create a space portal for him. But now, he obviously didn't like Eric Shavig, but set his sights on Victor Doom. From Loki's point of view, this is definitely the right choice. Victor Doom, the dignified Dr. Doom, is much more useful than Eric Shavig. Space portal. Such technology should not be too difficult for Doom. Dr. Doom plus the evil god Loki, this New York battle will be more difficult than a little bit. Moreover, the current situation, for the current Avengers, the pressure is all on them. Anton raised his eyebrows while thinking, gloating. The Avengers and him are not in partnership, but the competitive relationship between the two sides is extremely strong. There is nothing more interesting than watching a competitor get into trouble. If there is, it is that the competitor is not only unlucky, but also implicates SHIELD. No, this seems to be an established fact. There is really nothing that would make Anton happier than this. That's all. Time to sleep. Good night everyone. Chapter 253 Doom talks to Loki. Cunning. New York. Somewhere in an empty space. Well done. The cosmic cube belongs to us. A frivolous voice sounded. The Avengers defector, Dr. Doom, Victor Doom, stood in the center of the empty space. Hearing the voice, but not seeing any trace, his face was calm, but there was a hint of sharpness in his eyes. Aren't you going to show up yet? Doom said slowly. This doesn't look like the behavior of a companion. Companion? The frivolous voice did not change, because of Doom's warning, but seemed to be provoking him. Oh, by the way, we are companions. Whoosh. A figure flashed in front of Doom. A man holding a scepter and wearing a golden ram-horned helmet appeared in front of him. The man was wearing gorgeous and ancient clothes, not only with exquisite and complicated patterns, but also with a cloak behind his back. Doom frowned slightly. The appearance of this man broke his perception of his companions. What? Loki chuckled. Are you surprised to see me now? You thought I was the leader of a terrorist organization, but now you seem to see a psychopath. Doom remained calm, but a wave of emotion rose in his heart. The other party actually guessed his thoughts. However, for a psychic, this does not seem to be a very difficult thing. I don't have the ability to see through people's hearts. Loki successfully judged Doom's thoughts from Doom's actions and said lightly, I'm just good at playing with others. Stop talking nonsense. Doom said, although I don't want to get to know you so deeply, you still have to introduce yourself, right? You tempted me to snatch the cosmic cube from SHIELD. What exactly do you want to do? Trick you? Loki smiled sarcastically when he heard this, and then said, I don't seem to need to tempt you. I have already smelled the ambition and conspiracy in you. You are just using my power to help you fulfill your ambition. You've deviated from the topic. What I want to hear is your self-introduction. Doom held the cosmic cube in one hand and metallized the other hand. His 5 fingers were open and terrifying lightning condensed in his palm, showing a posture of fighting at the slightest disagreement. Zzzzzz. Doom's whole body was illuminated by lightning, and he was set off like a god. You look like someone I know, and I'm disgusted by you. Loki's eyes turned cold, but he still smiled. I have an army that can help you conquer the earth and rule the earth. Really? Your army? Why should I believe in it? Doom remained calm. For him, since he had achieved his goal and successfully took the cosmic cube from S.H.I.E.L.D., it seemed that Loki was no longer needed. Because with your current strength, it is impossible to defeat the Justice League, Loki said. Doom was silent. He knew that what Loki said might be right. After joining the Avengers, he had a better understanding of the power of the Justice League led by Batman. Like Cyborg, Wonder Woman, these powerful heroes, it is difficult for him to wipe them out with his own strength, even with the unlimited energy provided by the cosmic cube. Even if he is not afraid, trouble is always trouble. Why should I believe you? He then said, you haven't even told me your true identity until now. Loki introduced himself. I come from Asgard, another planet, and I'm a god in your eyes. Loki? Doom was quite knowledgeable, and he immediately looked up this name and the meaning of Asgard from his memory. You are the evil god Loki? A god, just like Wonder Woman, Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. Loki clenched his fists. His face changed slightly, revealing a hateful expression. Obviously he had not forgotten that he was beaten up by Wonder Woman not long ago. He was silent for a moment, and his tone turned cold. If we can skip this name on our topic, I think you will see a more amiable me. Haha, it seems that you know Wonder Woman, and you have suffered a great loss at the hands of Wonder Woman. Doom let down his guard a little, thinking about it, and somewhat understood. While Loki wanted to help him. Revenge? He did not notice that when Doom relaxed his vigilance, Loki's eyes showed a cunning look, and a subtle cunning smile flashed across his face. On the other side, Anton was still talking to Harry. S.H.I.E.L.D. lost the cosmic cube, and Victor Doom betrayed the Avengers. For him, it was also good news. Harry, do your best, Anton said frankly, but I won't give you more advice. You know very well that the contradiction between S.H.I.E.L.D. and us is irreconcilable. Nick Fury wants to use the Avengers to suppress, or even replace the Justice League. This is impossible for us to accept. I wish to see them in trouble. I understand. Harry sighed. I just want to know, at the critical moment, will you take action? Of course. Anton nodded. When things get out of hand and can't be resolved, we will naturally come out to clean up the mess. Only in this way can more people know that S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers are not worth mentioning compared to the Justice League. Then I'm relieved. Harry put away his uneasy mood, hung up the phone, and said goodbye to Anton. Beep. After hanging up the phone, Anton drove back to the company. However, he went up one level and came to the Daily Bugle. Eddie, get ready. Anton said, S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers are going to be in trouble. After this incident, it is very likely that our Justice League will dominate. Oh. Eddie was shocked. What happened? The Pegasus project failed. Victor Doom, a new member of the Avengers, defected and took away the most important cosmic cube in the Pegasus project. He colluded with another mysterious accomplice for unknown purposes. Anton briefly introduced the whole incident and then said, don't make this matter public for the time being. It's not the right time yet. What are you going to do? Eddie's eyes flashed. I will contact the military right away to see how the Secretary of Defense, John Kohler and others plan to deal with S.H.I.E.L.D. Anton said, after all, they are also involved in the Pegasus project. After saying that, he seemed to think of something and said, by the way, you contact George Stacy and let him be mentally prepared. New York may face a major crisis. At that time, the New York Police Department must take responsibility and evacuate the citizens as quickly as possible. New York. Eddie's face changed slightly. Are you sure? When have you ever seen me joke about this kind of thing? Anton asked back. When I was very young, around the third year of junior high school, I took writing online articles as a hobby. Until today, 1 year after graduating from college, 9 years, more than 3,000 days, this is still the first leader in my life. I'm both happy and calm. Thanks to Big Jackie for considering my ability and adding 3 chapters. Now the amount of words I type every day has basically reached the limit. The average daily update is about 7,000. My mind will be very confused if I write too much. Let me prepare and try to finish the extra chapters within this week. By the way, I would like to ask for monthly tickets. I feel that there is hope that I can complete more than 1,000 monthly tickets this month. Finally, I would like to thank all the people who have rewarded me. Due to the word count, I usually don't want to post texts that are not related to the main text. I also want to write as little as possible in the author's remarks, as short as possible, for fear of affecting everyone's reading experience. Now that I have said so much, I won't say this one more sentence. Thank you all for your likes. In addition, this paragraph was modified after uploading, which does not affect the word count. Chapter 254, Trap? Avengers with no choice. Anton really never jokes about such things. Moreover, in the face of such a major event, everything Anton predicted came true. Eddie immediately called George to inform him. At the same time, Anton also sent a voice notification to the Justice League in the name of Batman through the transmission bracelet. He asked all members of the Justice League to be ready and to send their families away, as there might be a fierce battle coming. He also sent a text message to the old man and his cheap father. After doing all this, he finally called John Keller. You know everything? Keller's first words did not surprise Anton at all. Yes. Anton nodded. SHIELD is in big trouble again. The cosmic cube possesses unimaginable infinite energy. Once it is used for wrong research, it will pose an unprecedented threat. Keller said in a deep voice, I don't need to tell you much about the dangers. Anton, I hope you can contact Batman immediately and let Batman use his intelligence capabilities to help us find Victor Doom. Mr. Keller, this matter may be simpler than you think. Anton said, Batman will naturally take action, but it's not the time yet. Not the time. Keller was stunned. When is the right time? Of course, when things get out of hand and SHIELD has no room for recovery, it is the right time for us to take action to turn the tide. Anton said frankly, with the relationship between the Justice League and SHIELD, it is a bit too much to ask us to put aside our past grudges and help SHIELD tide over the difficulties. In addition, the big mess of SHIELD this time is quite beneficial to the military, isn't it? Keller was silent for a moment. Are you so confident that you can solve this problem? As far as I know, Victor Doom has mastered the cosmic cube. With his superpowers, he can convert the energy in the cosmic cube into infinite electric current. His current power is far beyond imagination. If you set your sights on Victor Doom, you are wrong. Anton said, as far as we know, Victor Doom has an accomplice. Doom is not scary. What is scary is his accomplice. Oh. Keller narrowed his eyes. It seems that you have always known about this matter. In short, this matter is not simple. Even Batman dare not say that he can control the overall situation. But if you want to count on SHIELD and the Avengers to make up for their mistakes, it will only make them make more mistakes. Anton said, this is exactly what we want to see. I see. Keller had a quick mind and immediately understood that Anton meant to use this incident to destroy SHIELD and the Avengers in one blow. So he nodded after a moment of silence. We have only one condition. Anton said, please tell me. Keller said, when you are finishing, the military must participate in the whole process. No problem. Anton knew that Keller and others wanted to share the credit, which was not a problem at all. After all, the military was also one of the participants in the Pegasus project. Although S.H.I.E.L.D., as the leading party, caused a big mess, the military, as a participant, could not be completely without responsibility. However, if the military can participate in the actions of the Justice League, it will completely get rid of the public opinion controversy in the name of making up for its mistakes. In the end, only S.H.I.E.L.D. will suffer. S.H.I.E.L.D. was frustrated, which was naturally a result that Anton, Keller and others would like to see. Okay. Keller was very decisive. Do whatever you want, but we will cooperate with some actions of S.H.I.E.L.D. You know, we can't do nothing. It's okay. Don't worry. Everything is under control. Anton nodded. By the way, since you have an extraordinary understanding of this matter, can you tell me who Victor Doom's accomplice is? Keller was about to hang up the phone, but he paused and suddenly asked, Loki. Anton thought about it and did not hide it. The evil god, Loki. Strictly speaking, it is the evil god Loki that you remember most deeply. What? Keller was stunned and even suspected that he had heard it wrong, but he knew that he could not have heard it wrong. The evil god, Loki? Keller murmured, and a busy tone came from the other end of the phone. Beep beep beep. Anton no longer wanted to say more and hung up the call directly, leaving John Keller with a head full of question marks. Time passed quickly, the moon set, and the sun rose. A day passed. The Pegasus project failed again, the Cosmic Cube was stolen, and Victor Doom, one of the Avengers members, defected. A series of blows brought huge pressure to S.H.I.E.L.D. This pressure was more serious than the bad influence caused by Hydra in the Battle of Washington. S.H.I.E.L.D. directly bore the wrath of the military and the World Security Council, who ordered S.H.I.E.L.D. to catch the culprit and take back the Cosmic Cube within 3 days. Otherwise, S.H.I.E.L.D. might not have a future. As a subordinate agency of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the direct party at fault in the incident, the Avengers were also held accountable. However, Coulson and Nick Fury, the two top names of S.H.I.E.L.D., the director and deputy director, were all admitted to the hospital. Due to their serious injuries, they were wrapped like mummies. It would take at least 10 days for them to resume their actions in a short period of time. As a result, the pressure fell on Maria Hill, the Secretary General of S.H.I.E.L.D., and all the existing Avengers members. At this time, the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters building, all the Avengers gathered. They did not sleep for a day and a night after the incident, and mobilized a large number of people to search for Victor Doom day and night. They knew that Victor Doom would not escape from the United States. At this time, they have mobilized a huge force to monitor the in and out population of the country. It is difficult for Victor Doom to escape from the United States. Therefore, the other party is likely to be hiding in the country. Found him. Suddenly, Tony received a prompt from Jarvis, turned on the computer, and mobilized the surveillance in various regions in front of all the Avengers members. Finally, he locked on a figure wearing a hat and only showing his chin in Times Square, New York. He appeared. Then, he looked around and said in a deep voice, "In New York. Action together." Captain America glanced at everyone and spoke slowly. "Okay. Agree." After a simple vote, no one withdrew, and everyone took the S.H.I.E.L.D. transport plane and flew to New York quickly. After arriving in New York, they were surprised to find that Victor Doom had not moved and was still in the position Tony had locked before, as if waiting for them to arrive. New York, Times Square. This is a bustling neighborhood in Manhattan, New York City, USA, known as the crossroads of the world. At this time, Times Square, lined with billboards, welcomed all members of the Avengers. The transport plane slowly landed. "Everyone, step back and leave the square immediately." Captain America, Steve Rogers' voice came from the transport plane. The voice spread throughout Times Square, causing countless people to show horrified expressions. They were familiar with this situation. In the past year or so, New York has experienced more than one crisis. Everyone became more skilled and quickly moved away from the central area of the square. Then, standing in a place they felt safe, they looked up and found that when the transport plane was about 50 to 60 meters away from the ground, the rear hatch opened and a group of people fell from the sky. They chose an open space and landed steadily. One of the figures made people guess the identities of all of them. The clothes and the shields in their hands were too recognizable. Captain America and the Avengers. Boom. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Rogers made a hard landing with his strong body and crushed the ground. After excluding the Sandman, the other few people who did not have the ability to fly also landed steadily on the ground with the help of Harry and Tony. They were all dressed in combat uniforms and looked majestic. Passers by stood densely on one side, leaving them enough space. All the members of the Avengers formed a circle and surrounded a man wearing a peaked cap with only his chin exposed. "Victor, hand over the Cosmic Cube and follow us back honestly." All the members of the Avengers surrounded Victor Doom. Although they didn't understand why Doom was standing there waiting for them to come, they knew very well that if Doom didn't take the initiative to show up, it would be very difficult for them to find him in such a short time. Therefore, even if they knew it was a trap, they had to come. Because I have to consider a way out and prepare to move out. I talked to my family for a long time today, which delayed my time. Anyway, I'm going to write another chapter after midnight. Don't wait. Chapter 255, Fake Doom. Thor appears. It's Captain America. So, the people around him are the Avengers. Are all the Avengers out? Huh, there seem to be 2 more people I don't know. Are they new Avengers? One of them is Harry Osborn. You can't not know him, right? The other one is Flint Malco, nicknamed Sandman. It's all announced on the Avengers official website. Sandman used to be a criminal, but was pardoned by SHIELD, turned from evil to good, and joined the Avengers. Sandman, is he the one who was defeated by the evil spirit at the dock before? Yes, that's him. TSK. It seems that the Avengers can only pick up the leaks of the Justice League. The new member who joins is actually the defeated opponent of the Justice League. This is too shabby. The last time the Avengers was defeated, all members were defeated by the Justice League. The new hero who joins now is the defeated opponent of the only superhero in the Justice League, who did not appear at that time. Except for Harry, all the Avengers are defeated. It seems that their level is too low. How shameful. The onlookers standing far away were talking about it at this time. As the center of the Marvel world, New York residents who are reluctant to move due to disasters have already formed their own set of measures for the chaotic situation. Don't panic when something happens, just stay away and watch the excitement. Anyway, someone will definitely come out to solve the problem. After the appearance of Batman, it seems that an era of superheroes has begun. Many people dream of becoming superheroes and put it into practice. Most of these people are called street heroes. For example, The Punisher and Kick-Ass have been frequently published in newspapers recently. The former is brutal and will kill people, while the latter is humorous and can make big news from time to time. In short, these two heroes are quite professional. They have made a lot of contributions to fighting drug dealers, attracted some fans, and are known by many New York citizens. As we all know, most of the well-known superheroes are naturally on the list of the Justice League and the Avengers. Many street heroes are influenced by Batman, and their biggest goal is to meet their rival Batman and join the Justice League. If it doesn't work, the next best thing is to meet Captain America and join the Avengers. It is worth mentioning, New York Police Department. New York Police Commissioner George Stacy, after Eddie's reminder yesterday, was a little afraid to leave the police station when he got off work. He was nervous all night and didn't sleep well. He came to the police station with dark circles under his eyes. It was not until time passed that he sat in the police station and the tension in his heart was relieved. Because everything was normal and nothing happened. Of course, the news came from Eddie, and George still knew Eddie's identity. Therefore, he was very concerned about this matter and ordered the police officers who were out on patrol to pay attention to the conditions of the streets and take action when necessary. Feeling that he had handled it properly, George finally relaxed his spirit. However, he had just relaxed for less than 2 minutes. Bang! The police officers under his command rushed over and kicked open the door of the chief's office. George was stunned. An ominous premonition quickly rose in his heart. He knew the group of people under his command very well. He could force them to this extent and kick them in the office. Obviously, something beyond his expectations had happened. It was only a few minutes after he relaxed. What happened? George wailed secretly, with a face full of real nervousness, and said in a deep voice, "What happened? Is it another major event that can alarm Batman?" Batman hasn't arrived, but... The police officer panted and swallowed his saliva. "But Captain America is here, and all the members of the Avengers are here." What? George was shocked. What are they doing? Times Square. The police officer said, "They surrounded a person. I feel that there may be a fierce battle." So that's the case. No wonder Eddie asked me to pay attention. George breathed a sigh of relief, but the tension on his face did not ease at all, and he hurriedly said, "Quick, get everyone out. By the way, call the task force. The Avengers may need our help." Understood. The police officer nodded and made arrangements immediately. Times Square. The originally crowded and wide square was no longer visible around the area. Everyone hid far away, leaving only the members of the Avengers surrounding the unknown enemy wearing a baseball cap. "Victor, where did you put the cosmic cube? You dare to show up in front of us without the cosmic cube? You are really bold." The Avengers stared at their opponents coldly. When they found that Doom did not carry the cosmic cube with him, they frowned slightly, but a sense of uneasiness inexplicably emerged in their hearts. The biggest purpose of Doom taking the cosmic cube was nothing more than to strengthen his own combat effectiveness. However, at this time, Doom took the initiative to expose his position, but did not carry the cosmic cube. Why? This is not logical at all. You can only rely on your mouth to talk and show off your advantage. After all, you are under a lot of pressure now, right? The cosmic cube is lost, the Pegasus project has failed, and you have no other useful actions besides being angry and waiting for me to expose myself. Although there is no cosmic cube to protect him, Doom is not panicked at all, and even a sarcastic look appears at the corner of his mouth. Don't talk nonsense with him. Take him down first. That's right. The Avengers looked at each other and made the same decision. They really couldn't stand it. Doom continued to be proud in front of them. Whoosh. Captain America. Rogers throws out his shield. Hawkeye shoots arrows. Sandman transforms into an element. Dr. Octopus activates the mechanical arm behind him. Tony and Harry, dressed in armor, soar into the air, and together with Black Widow, who is on the ground and uses all her energy, rush forward to kill Victor Doom. Boom. The Avengers are amazing. If they don't move, their extraordinary actions are shown to the New York citizens, that is, the spectators. Everyone stares with wide eyes, afraid of missing the wonderful scenes, and dares not blink. Although you can occasionally see superheroes showing their abilities in videos on the internet, the pixels are not so clear. Is it more enjoyable to see them in person? As for the battles of those street heroes, although they are quite common, most of them are ordinary fights and shooting with guns. They are far from this kind of extraordinary fighting method, which can bring people a sense of shock. Then, something even more shocking happened to them. All members of the Avengers attacked the enemy, and fierce lightning burst out instantly. The sky above their heads was filled with a layer of black clouds, and there were crackling lightning. Boom! Exclamation mark. The sound of thunder resounded throughout New York. Times Square. The wind was howling, and the enemy standing in the center of all the Avengers showed unprecedented powerful strength. Boom! Exclamation mark. The lightning was stimulated in all directions, and the powerful force wrapped in the energy and fought fiercely with the Avengers. Under the gaze of hundreds and thousands of eyes, the Avengers' attack successfully broke through the lightning and landed on the enemy, and then knocked off the enemy's peaked cap, revealing his true face. He is. Someone recognized the identity of Victor Doom. Doom himself is an entrepreneur with considerable assets. Later, he joined the Avengers and was officially announced and was known to many people. Victor Doom, he's not a companion of the Avengers. Why are they fighting now? Is it the same as the previous Hydra incident? Is Doom a traitor? TSK. Why do I feel like there are traitors among the Avengers all the time? People were quite surprised, and the mood of watching the fun was very strong. Zzzzzz. The Avengers locked onto Victor Doom's movements. What surprised them was that the attack just now, although it clearly hit Doom, did not seem to have much impact on him, like a fist hitting a marshmallow, soft and fluffy. Not right. Tony's face changed slightly. Victor's ability is to control electric current and metallization. Although he just showed the ability of lightning, it's not right. You are not Victor Doom. Harry instantly understood what Tony meant, and was shocked for a moment. His sharp eyes fell on the face of Doom in front of him like a blade. Oh. Fake Doom smiled. You found out so quickly? It seems that, if you suffer too much, you will always learn to be smart. As he spoke, his body was like a stone thrown into a lake, flowing out in the shape of ripples, like an illusion projected by a group of sunlight. This scene was similar to the situation when Doom escaped from the base. Don't even think about running. Captain America's face was solemn, and he rushed forward and grabbed the other person's body. Boom. At this moment, lightning gathered in the dark clouds above his head, and a terrifying lightning struck his head. The target of the narrow and long lightning was not Captain America, but it was not fake Doom either. Crack, crack, crack. The lightning gathered amazing energy and hit Captain America, isolating him from fake Doom. Captain America's face was solemn. At this time, other Avengers members quickly arrived and surrounded fake Doom again. Who was it just now? The ability to control the electric current. It's the real Doom. He's nearby. All Avengers members quickly communicated. Haha. Fake Doom suddenly sneered. What an ignorant human. It is impossible to send out that electric shock just now with superpowers alone. You mean, the attack just now was not sent by Doom? Harry frowned. He felt that this fake Doom seemed willing to communicate with him, and after the electric shock just now, he lost the idea of escaping. Fake Doom laughed and said, "Of course, if that attack was really sent by him, why would it hit the ground?" This was the fact, and Fake Doom did lose the idea of leaving. Because a person who had the ability to reveal his identity, and whom he loved and hated, was about to appear here. Boom! Exclamation mark. Intense lightning broke out again in the dark clouds above. Everyone looked up and vaguely felt that there seemed to be a human figure hidden in the dark clouds and lightning. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A sharp sound of breaking through the air came. Boom. Another lightning bolt broke through the dark clouds, struck straight down, and then exploded in the air, spreading like spider webs in the sky under the dark clouds. The light streaked across the sky, making people tremble with fear, as if they were facing a terrible natural disaster. At the same time, along with the lightning, a figure appeared. The figure held a warhammer, with a red cloak flying behind him, breaking through the air, piercing through the dark clouds at an extremely fast speed, surrounded by lightning, and rushed over. He is. Hawkeye opened his eyes wide, including all his companions. They all showed surprised expressions. Others may not know the identity of this person, but Hawkeye had to know, and he remembered it deeply. The past scenes seemed to be vivid in his mind. Thor. Hawkeye murmured in a low voice, "So, he has regained his strength. What a loss. I just found out today that there will be double monthly tickets starting on the 28th. Please ask again. I still need 100 tickets to reach 1000, and during the double monthly ticket period, just vote 50 tickets will be enough. Please everyone." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 256, Response. Helpless Shield. Thor? Hawkeye did not hide his voice. His companions heard this sentence and it also entered the ears of the fake Doom. The fake Doom's face darkened slightly. In fact, he was not surprised that Hawkeye knew Thor's name. His behavior at this time was simply because he didn't like to hear this name. Who is he? Wait, he is the so-called god that Wonder Woman faced in New Mexico when she first appeared? Thor lost his power at that time, and now he has regained his power. An alien? Why did this so-called god suddenly appear? All the members of the Avengers looked at each other, and many thoughts flashed through their minds. In the end, they moved their eyes and fixed on the enemy, the fake Doom. There is no doubt that there must be a connection between the fake Doom and Thor. The traces left by the lightning on the ground are evidence. He came for you. Hawkeye's face was grim. Who are you? Me. The fake Doom just smiled. Boom! Exclamation mark. Beside them, Thor, holding Thor's hammer, descended from the sky, landing on the ground like a falling star, stepping out a huge pit and even stirring up a visible airflow. He's my brother. Thor helped the fake Doom to answer the question, and said in a bad tone, Loki. He's Loki. Loki? He's Loki? The Avengers were still a little slow to react. Only Hawkeye knew more information than them, and quickly recalled the previous communication with Anton, Coulson and others in the town of Pandiantego in New Mexico. At that time, the mastermind who urged the terrifying steel armor to come to the vicinity of the town to kill Thor seemed to be the evil god in front of him. Loki. Brother, long time no see. The fake Doom, that is, Loki, had no other people in his sight at this time. All the Avengers were forgotten by him, and his eyes were fixed on the newly appeared Thor, the god of thunder. Loki, stop talking nonsense. Where is the cosmic cube? Thor stared at Loki coldly, with a hint of anger and helplessness in his eyes. I never thought that Odin would send you here. The fake Doom in everyone's eyes suddenly had water waves on his body again, and then he completely turned into another person. Loki showed his true face. He had a handsome face, wore a golden horn helmet, and wore a gorgeous, ancient and exquisite robe. You made a big mistake. Thor said in a deep voice. Hand over the cosmic cube now. Tell me the location of your companions, and you can make up for your mistake. Make up. Loki sneered. I don't need your kindness. In addition, if you can ignore me, and don't come to hinder me, I will be grateful to you. Wait, now is not the time for you to chat. All the Avengers heard the conversation between the two sides. Some of them were out of the situation, but they also knew that under the watchful eyes of the public, the matter must be resolved as soon as possible. Since Loki was unwilling to cooperate, he naturally had to be taken away for detention and interrogation. Boom. Tony activated the armor and aimed at Loki. Captain America Rogers thought the same as him and even took the initiative to attack. He jumped up and came behind Loki, grabbed his arm, and smashed his shield at him. Thor stopped him. Wait, this is Asgard's business. It has nothing to do with you mortals. Thor and Captain America Rogers fought head on, then pulled Loki over, but faced a fierce attack from other Avengers. Thor felt under great pressure. Boom! Exclamation mark. He raised Thor's hammer, and several lightning bolts struck his head, forcing the surrounding Avengers to retreat, but Tony resisted the attack, and blasted him away with a high-power palm cannon. Bang! Exclamation mark. Thor flew out horizontally, smashed through a billboard, and embedded in the wall behind the billboard. Haha. Loki saw this scene, and was very interested, gloating over Thor's misfortune. Click. Captain America appeared again. At this time, he had a pair of handcuffs in his hand, and pressed them on Loki's hands, completely locking him up. Next, you come with us. After saying this, he looked at Harry and said, take him into the plane. Understood. Harry stepped on the flying skateboard and sent Loki to the transport plane in the air above his head. Boom. At this time, Thor destroyed the billboard and rushed towards Harry. Bang. Below, Tony certainly couldn't let Thor hinder Harry, so he rushed into the sky as a roadblock to block Thor's route. The two sides collided again. Boom. The two figures fell directly, and when they were about to hit the ground, both sides reacted and stepped on the ground to make two pits respectively, and finally stood opposite each other at a not so far distance. The Avengers swarmed in, stood beside Tony, and stared at Thor coldly. Thor frowned slightly, feeling a little tricky. He was not afraid of these Avengers, but realized that with these people blocking him, it would be difficult for him to take Loki away today. At the same time, it was impossible for him to ask Loki about the cosmic cube and the whereabouts of his accomplice. Thor, if your goal is the same as ours, we don't have to confront each other. Hawkeye suddenly said, we can cooperate. Thor narrowed his eyes when he heard this. A moment later, under the gaze of countless eyes, they all got into the transport plane and escorted Loki to the headquarters of S.H.I.E.L.D. Whoosh! The transport plane flew away from Times Square. The spectators around were a little bit unbelievable to see such a dreamlike fight end in such a dramatic way. It's still going on. How come they suddenly reconciled? Who is the man with the hammer? And who was Victor Doom at the beginning, but later became someone else? The man with a horned helmet and ancient robes? The spectators looked at each other. Woo woo woo. George arrived late with the New York Police Department and just saw the transport plane take off. Is it over? He looked at the Times Square, which was damaged a lot, with many depressions on the ground and several billboards destroyed. It looked quite messy, and fell into deep thought. We have to ask S.H.I.E.L.D. for compensation, right? The course and result of this battle quickly spread on the internet. Avengers 2.0 version is mobilized. Victor Doom is suspected of betrayal. Who is the man with the hammer? And other keywords became hot searches. People called on S.H.I.E.L.D. to reveal the truth as soon as possible. The actions of the Avengers were exposed to the public, and the truth could no longer be concealed. Mariah Hill had to find excuses and selectively disclose some facts to appease the masses in order to control the direction of public opinion. S.H.I.E.L.D. has been attacked by terrorist forces. The director and deputy director, Phil Coulson and Nick Fury, have been seriously injured and hospitalized. We are hunting down the mastermind behind the scenes. Chapter 257 Special Forces. The time has not come yet. As for the enemy, disguised as Victor Doom, you saw, his identity is unknown for the time being, and we are still investigating. Victor Doom, we must admit that he did play an ignominious role in this incident, and has now been listed as a fugitive by SHIELD and the police across the United States. If you have any news about him, please notify SHIELD or the police at all levels immediately. After receiving the news, we will immediately send the Avengers to hunt him down. For the defector, we will arrest him at all costs. On the TV screen, Mariah Hill, as the Secretary General of SYNOPSIS, held a press conference and announced what the public wanted to know. After answering a few questions from the reporters in the audience, Mariah Hill announced the end of the press conference. She didn't want to continue to tangle with the reporters. Given the current situation faced by SYNOPSIS, even if the so-called evil god Loki, Victor Doom's accomplice, was caught, the situation would not necessarily improve at all. However, people's pursuit of the truth is not that fanatical, and most of them are just joining in the fun. Seeing that the current head of S.H.I.E.L.D. is actually an iceberg beauty, netizens instantly deviated from the topic, and public opinion immediately reversed. The current head is much more comfortable than the previous black boiled egg. It is also better than baldness. I hope those two people will lie in the hospital forever. Netizens talked about it and discussed it heatedly. They didn't know that the order that made the Sky Carrier shoot the Bat Fighter regardless of the consequences in the Battle of Washington was issued by the iceberg beauty in their eyes. If they knew, even as a visual animal, their senses would be greatly changed. After the Battle of Washington, S.H.I.E.L.D. pushed all the mistakes to the Hydra members in S.H.I.E.L.D. when apologizing. Alexander Pearson Crossbones Rumlow took all the blame. Hydra instantly became the object of public scorn. Under S.H.I.E.L.D.'s crazy search and crackdown for more than 2 months, Hydra members in the United States and many people with grudges within S.H.I.E.L.D. have been purged. As far as the local situation is concerned, Hydra lost a head and suffered heavy losses. However, there are still other Hydra members lurking around the world, in Europe and other regions, and Hydra also has a large number of military forces hidden, so it is not a serious injury. It can only be said that it is forced to lie dormant temporarily. Of course, these have nothing to do with Anton. New York, Daily Bugle. Anton was sitting in the office and saw the battle in Times Square for the first time. Because the office building where Daily Bugle is located is right next to the square. He stood in the office and saw Thor flying out of the dark clouds, and finally, Loki was captured, and a group of people left in a transport plane, thinking. According to the original plot, this is Loki confusing the site, delaying the time of SHIELD and the Avengers, so that his accomplices can open the space gate in enough time to facilitate the Chitauri in another galaxy to come to Earth. It is as difficult as ascending to heaven to find Victor Doom in the vast sea of people. Even Anton has no clues to judge the location of Dr. Doom, Victor Doom. Therefore, to find Victor Doom, Loki must speak, or wait until the space gate is completed, and at the last moment, Victor Doom will show up with the space gate. Judging from the current situation, it is obviously only the latter that is possible. Loki will not speak. Ring, ring, ring. Hi, Mr. Kohler, what's the matter? Anton took out his mobile phone and answered the call. He was quite surprised that the Secretary of Defense, John Kohler, would call him at this time. The evil god Loki. He was caught. Kohler said in a deep voice, Anton, did you make a mistake in your judgment? If this goes on, S.H.I.E.L.D. will soon solve the problem, and all our plans will have to be replanned. Don't worry, Loki has been caught, but Victor Doom is still at large with the Cosmic Cube. Anton said, besides, Loki has fallen into the trap. Do you think they can really get any information from Loki? So, the situation is still under your control? Kohler asked. That's right. Anton nodded. You can trust us completely in this matter. Mr. Keller, we have cooperated with each other more than once or twice. Don't you have any trust? That's not the case. Keller shook his head and paused. The main reason is that we don't have any news now, so we can't help but feel uneasy. In that case, then you send an elite force to New York and listen to my orders at any time. Anton thought about it and said, when the critical moment comes, I will arrange for them to take action. Okay. Keller nodded decisively. This is exactly what the military wants to see. Special forces. He said, let me introduce you briefly. This is a force led by General Hawk. The members in it are the elites of the military elites, and each of them is a master of soldiers. More importantly, behind the special forces, in addition to our people, there are also countries joining. The nature is like the United Nations organization. Currently, 23 countries have joined. It seems that you have been prepared for a long time. Anton certainly knows about the special forces. After all, He solved the enemy of the Special Forces, the Cobra organization, in advance. This is not a pre-planned decision. This is an inevitable preparation. Keller said calmly, the Special Forces will make the World Security Council speechless. At that time, we will have a reason to use the Special Forces to replace SHIELD and play a role in this world. SHIELD has too much power. If it continues like this, it will sooner or later be unable to end. We just took necessary measures to clamp it down. You are right. Then let's do it. Wait for the Special Forces to arrive in New York and keep in touch with me at any time. Anton said, it is estimated that the other party will reveal its ultimate intention in the next few days. Okay. Keller nodded. Beep. The phone was hung up. Anton looked back and refreshed the comments on the internet. He found that most netizens had a significant change in their impression of SHIELD and the Avengers. The efforts of SHIELD and the Avengers in recent times have not been in vain. In particular, SHIELD has established an image of being brave to take responsibility. In addition to the popular Captain America and Steve Rogers, Iron Man and Tony Stark, and perhaps the representatives of sexy beauties, Black Widow and Natasha Romanoff, these people make humans, who are visual animals, feel that the other party is not unforgivable. Especially in the battle in Times Square today, the Avengers showed their unique extraordinary abilities, allowing other people who worship power to see the strength of the Avengers. It is not surprising that people have changed their views on them. Let you be proud for a while. Anton sneered. He still did not intend to let the Daily Bugle publish all the causes and consequences. In the press conference of SHIELD held by Mariah Hill just now, Hill hid the key information, that is, the loss of the Cosmic Cube. Now, the general public has no idea what the Cosmic Cube is, and even if the Daily Bugle points this out, it will be useless. Only when the space gate is opened, and the Chitauri descend on New York, causing unprecedented harm, and then the existence of the Cosmic Cube is exposed, people will know the importance of the Cosmic Cube, and the true face of SHIELD. It's over today. I feel like the pace has slowed down recently. I need to adjust. Chapter 258 An Unexpected Incident. Loki's Trick. From the beginning to the end, Anton's purpose was very clear. When the Avengers were the proudest and the people were the most panicked, he led the Justice League to appear and solve the crisis like cutting leaks, highlighting the importance of Batman and the Justice League, and using this to hit SHIELD and the Avengers hard. Although he allowed the crisis to happen, the initiative of this matter was on the side of SHIELD. Even when John Kohler called him and asked Batman for help, he did not ask Batman to solve the matter, but asked Batman to use his incredible intelligence ability to help them find Victor Doom. Now it seems that the meaning is very clear. Let Batman find Victor Doom, and then the Special Forces controlled by the military will take action to take back the Cosmic Cube. In short, before things deteriorate extremely, Batman and the Justice League are always regarded as outsiders. Although the Justice League and the military have become a community of interests, they are not a family after all. The military wants to strengthen its own power, so it launched a Special Forces led by the United States, which was formed by uniting 23 countries, with the intention of replacing SHIELD. It is obvious that once the military succeeds, the status of Batman and the Justice League in the hearts of the military will decline significantly. This is an inevitable situation. Fortunately, Batman and the Justice League have their own particularity, and the capabilities of the Special Forces can never replace the particularity of the Justice League. Therefore, the relationship of the community of interests between the military and the Justice League will not be broken because of this. This is also the reason why Anton can accept John Keller's request calmly. Half a day later, the Special Forces arrived in New York. General Hawk called Anton and hoped to meet him first. His tone was quite polite. Anton set off immediately. He came to a safe house somewhere in New York. In the spacious safe house, he met General Hawk, one of the bigwigs of the military, and the Special Forces led by him. There are many members of the Special Forces. In addition to Commander Hawk, they are Duke, the Deputy Commander, Red Hair, Parachute Rope, Circuit Breaker, Heavy Artillery, Snake Eyes, Cover Girl, Roadhog, Flint, and so on. Hawk led all the members of the Special Forces in this operation, vowing to make a name for himself. "Hello, Anton." Hawk greeted Anton calmly when he saw him coming. At this time, all the Special Forces members around him cast their eyes towards Anton at the door, wanting to see what kind of ability this world-renowned director, the only official member of the Justice League who is not a superhero, has to mobilize them. "Hello, General." Anton responded and looked around. "It's nice to meet you, Special Forces." The others nodded to show their friendship. Although Anton is not well known in the military, Batman's reputation is amazing enough. As the only person who can communicate with Batman in both directions, even the military has to start with Anton to find Batman. Therefore, John Kohler and the Special Forces are well aware of Anton's importance. At present, it seems that with Anton's position in the Justice League, it may affect Batman's judgment on many things. After a brief exchange, and getting to know each other, Anton did not stay for too long. There was actually no common language between him and the Special Forces. Everything was because of the mission. After leaving the safe house, he stepped on the accelerator and quickly returned home. The old man and John were not at home. After Anton's reminder, the two left New York yesterday and prepared to take a few days off. After all, the Avengers took Loki away, which means that the node of the New York war is getting closer. Victor Doom is also known as Loki's accomplice. It is hard to say whether there will be any more trouble in this war. Although Anton is confident that he can suppress it, it is better to be careful for the people around him. Eddie also sent his girlfriend April away in advance. Although he still doesn't know what will happen in New York after what happened in Times Square more than 10 hours ago, he has realized that something is wrong. With Eddie's understanding of Anton, he can be sure that it will not be just a battle in Times Square that can make Anton react so greatly. The Times Square incident is just a prelude, and more dangerous things are still to come. SHIELD headquarters. Conference room. All the Avengers gathered. He didn't say anything. Rogers looked at everyone and spoke slowly. "This was expected a long time ago." Tony said. "He took the initiative to appear in front of us and fell into our trap. He must have other purposes. Until now, we still have no clues. And the location of Victor Doom, there is no clue now. Doom just disappeared from this world, as if he had evaporated from the face of the earth." Harry clenched his fists, feeling that he and others were being led by the nose in this matter. "We must find the cosmic cube as soon as possible." Suddenly, Thor, who had just joined the team, said, "As far as I know, Loki has an army under his command, the Chitauri. They are not Asgardians, and do not belong to any planet. Loki plans to lead them to attack the Earth. The Chitauri will definitely help Loki. I think their exchange condition is the cosmic cube." "Where are they from?" Captain America frowned. "Chitauri, are they from space? Maybe another galaxy?" Thor shook his head. "I don't know much about the world outside the 9 realms. So, they need the cosmic cube to open the space gate, just like the alien attack that New York encountered before." Tony suddenly realized, his tone slightly sinking. "He needs the space gate to bring the army to Earth." "I think so." Dr. Octopus is also a very capable scientist who can quickly keep up with Tony's thinking. If there is a cosmic cube to provide unlimited energy, opening space is not a very difficult thing. As for teleportation technology, since the emergence of mind transmission technology, many organizations have now studied it. So, it's another fierce battle. Hawkeye and Black Widow looked at each other, thinking of the situation, that the alien Lang led the Round War Fortress spaceship to invade New York, and knew that it was not good. If this is the case, they need metal iridium as a stabilizer. Tony suddenly said. At the same time, they need a high density power source, at least to heat the Rubik's Cube to 100 million degrees, to start the Rubik's Cube, and open the space gate. Metal iridium should not be a problem for Doom. After all, he is also a billionaire, but a high density power source. As he said, his face gradually became ugly. There is only one place where he can show his fists and feet. Shit. He suddenly shouted in a low voice, feeling that something was wrong. When a group of people were communicating, they didn't notice that Loki's scepter, which they regarded as a trophy and placed in the conference room, was emitting a subtle light at this time. What they didn't notice was that after they discussed the results and walked out of the conference room with a slightly changed face, except for Thor and Captain America Rogers, the rest of the Avengers froze at the same time and then looked at each other, and their eyes seemed to release an abnormal blue light. After feeling that Victor Doom might be hiding in his Stark Tower with the cosmic cube, Tony quickly rushed back to his old nest, mobilized all surveillance, and dug up the entire building. He did not find Victor Doom, so he breathed a sigh of relief. During the process, only Harry went back to Stark Tower in New York with him. The others were too weak to move, so they were abandoned by the two of them. But if Doom is not here, where would he be? Harry was puzzled. If the other party needs a powerful power source, is there any place in the United States that meets the requirements better than Stark Tower? The power reactor installed inside Stark Tower is enough to support the entire building to operate at full capacity day and night for a whole year. To start the cosmic cube, the power reactor inside Stark Tower is definitely enough. Am I wrong? Tony frowned slightly. So he contacted his companions who were still at the SHIELD headquarters. He's not here, Tony said. Continue to find ways to get more information from Loki. If this goes on, the situation will become more and more unfavorable to us. Understood. Rogers nodded. In this world, he and Tony did not have the conflicts in the original plot, and they even had a good relationship. This may be related to the fact that they had just met and were beaten by the Justice League together, and suddenly they had a common target to chase. Since there is no result, let's rest here for a night. After Tony hung up the call with Captain America, he looked at Harry, poured a glass of whiskey, and said, "There are enough rooms in this top floor apartment, and you can even have a comfortable party." Forget it. Harry smiled bitterly. I don't have the mood to party now. At this time, it was already evening. The sky was covered with a layer of black, and soon it was night. The twinkling stars and the bright moon hanging high formed a beautiful picture. Tony and Harry lay in bed separately, looking at the ceiling, and couldn't fall asleep. However, just after they fell asleep in a daze, they opened their eyes at the same time, expressionless, uncontrollably stood up, and their eyes reflected a cold light. At the same time, the headquarters of SHIELD on the other side ushered in a huge turmoil. This turmoil was even comparable to the previous Hydra incident. Black Widow, Hawkeye, Sandman, Dr. Octopus, 4 members of the Avengers, collectively lost control. They broke into the underground base of the SHIELD headquarters, came to the prison room, where Loki was imprisoned, and pressed the switch without hesitation. Click. The door of the prison room opened. Loki walked out of the prison, took his scepter from Black Widow, and smiled as he looked at the many SHIELD agents who were rushing towards him with guns. Go. He ordered lightly. Kill these people. Hawkeye, Black Widow, Sandman and Dr. Octopus left without saying a word, and rushed to their former colleagues. Kai 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 kai. Bang bang bang. This was a one-sided battle, and it was also a bloody and cruel massacre. The agents were no match for the 4 superheroes. Of course, it might be a bit of a stretch to call them superheroes now. Anyway, the 4 of them quickly cleared the obstacles. Whoosh. Finally, Captain America Rogers, who heard the alarm, and Thor arrived at the underground base. They were shocked to see the corpses all over the ground. Loki. Thor was furious. What have you done? I just killed a few mortals. What's wrong with that? Loki shrugged. Soon, this world will belong to me. They just felt my rule in advance. Arsehole. Rogers gritted his teeth, looked at the 4 Hawkeyes with blood on their hands, and clenched his fists. What did you do to them? You controlled them? As he spoke, his voice lowered, with a little realization. So that's it. He murmured to himself. You came from the net. You want to control our people and divide us. Smart. Loki said in a light tone. You finally guessed it. Loki. Thor's hammer in his hand released endless lightning, and the terrifying divine power fluctuations were released, showing the anger of Thor. You disappoint me so much. He shouted angrily, and threw Thor's hammer, but only hit Loki's illusion. It will be over soon. Loki's voice echoed throughout the underground base. Father will soon know that I'm more suitable for the throne than you. I will be the king of the earth, and the earth will become my kingdom. As soon as the voice fell, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Sandman, Dr. Octopus, the 4 Avengers controlled by Loki, also fled the scene. Thor and Rogers originally intended to stop their companions, but the 4 people joined forces to repel them. As companions, they couldn't turn it into a life and death duel. Therefore, the 4 people finally left the SHIELD headquarters, caught up with Loki's footsteps, and disappeared without a trace. Seeing that the underground base was almost in ruins, Rogers and Thor were silent. Da. Mariah Hill came late. Seeing everything at the scene, her face changed drastically, looking at the last two living people left at the scene. Did he do all this? This he naturally refers to Loki. Yes, Rogers said bitterly, we were fooled by him. Damn it. Mariah Hill's face was uglier than ever. Coulson and Nick Fury are still in the hospital. Now, she is the highest commander of SHIELD. She can't afford such consequences. Where did they go? Hill's eyes were burning with anger, and he said a few words through his teeth. I don't know. Rogers shook his head. In any case, we must inform Tony and Harry immediately. I hope they are not controlled by Loki. New York, Stark Building, penthouse. Tony and Harry saw Victor Doom, the target of their pursuit, who pushed the door in. Doom's expression was also a little wrong at this time. He looked at Tony and Harry indifferently. Come here. Doom took the two to the rooftop of Stark Building, the helipad, and then looked at the sky that was about to appear as a fish belly white. Ring ring ring. The phone rang, and Doom answered it. Don't worry, we will start building the space gate device immediately. With Tony Stark here, this is not a problem. After dawn, this world will usher in its final destination. Chapter 259, New York War Prelude. The next day, Anton got up early and came to the company leisurely. He saw the report about Hellblazer and was satisfied with the results. In the system panel, Constantine's fan value had already exceeded the 20 million mark. After the movie was released, it took only 2 days for Constantine's fan value to reach 23 million. It is estimated that in a few days, it will easily exceed 30 million and reach the redemption standard. It is worth mentioning that in the past few months, Smallville, which was broadcast as a TV series on TV stations and major streaming websites, has also achieved pretty good results. Superman fan value 59 million. Although there is still about 1.5 Constantines away from the redemption, it is enough to make Anton happy. He stretched, opened the window to face the sun, and just saw an amazing scene. The building where DC and the Daily Bugle are located has a very advantageous geographical location, facing the newly built Stark Tower. Of course, Stark Tower is much taller than this building. But Anton is in his office on the upper floors of the building, and he can still see part of the situation of Stark Tower from the window. He vaguely saw that there seemed to be a flash of light on the helipad on the rooftop of Stark Tower. Anton squinted his eyes and was about to take a closer look. Boom. At this moment, the bright sunshine outside the window suddenly disappeared, and dark clouds instantly covered the entire Manhattan area. All citizens in the New York area, including Anton, heard a loud noise coming from the dark clouds above their heads. This loud noise did not sound like thunder. There was no trace of any lightning in the dark clouds. Everyone observed and could only find a beam of light, which went straight into the sky from the top floor of Stark Tower, the location of the rooftop helipad. Boom. Another deafening sound came. The dark clouds above their heads quickly gathered and solidified in the sky above Stark Tower, connecting with the beam of light and releasing a brilliant blue light. The New York War is about to begin. Anton frowned as he looked at the beam of light that erupted from the helipad on the rooftop of Stark Tower. It didn't happen suddenly. After all, he had prepared himself mentally long before this. Therefore, Anton's mind moved, and the cyborg clone appeared, bursting out at an extremely fast speed, spraying air behind him, and rushed towards the Stark building. Then, he came to DC, and looked at all his employees. Everyone, you will have a holiday from now on, he said in a deep voice. Everyone leave Manhattan immediately. The situation is urgent. I don't have time to explain to you more. You just need to know that this is what Batman wants. The employees looked at each other. What are you still standing there for? Betty suddenly appeared and shouted softly, hurry up. Leave Manhattan. Yes, yes, yes. The group hurriedly left the scene. Anton. Before leaving, Betty glanced at Anton and hesitated. You have to be careful. Anton nodded and watched Betty leave. At the Daily Bugle on the upper floor of DC, Eddie also saw this unusual scene. He was slightly surprised and quickly found Anton. What's going on? It's time. Anton nodded. You go and evacuate the Daily Bugle employees, then notify George Stacy to lead the police team to evacuate the citizens of Manhattan and leave the rest to me. Okay. Eddie nodded and left in a hurry. He was not worried about his own safety, but mainly because the incident happened suddenly, and he wanted to ensure the safety of the Daily Bugle employees. Seeing this, Anton took out his cell phone again. "General Hawk," he said, "things are developing faster than I thought. You came at the right time. Stark Building, rooftop helipad, you can take action." At this time, Cyborg came to the helipad of Stark Building and saw Victor Doom, Tony, and Harry. The three of them surrounded the pillar of light rising into the sky with expressionless faces and was slightly surprised. How did these three people get together? Puzzled expression flashed across his face. Cyborg's attacking figure was not hidden. Doom, Tony, and Harry immediately discovered Cyborg, who had arrived at the scene. Whoosh. Their actions were very synchronized, and they attacked Cyborg at the same time, as if the three of them were in the same group. Something was wrong. Cyborg dodged and combined the relevant information to draw a conclusion, and was slightly shocked. It was Loki's mind scepter. Unexpectedly, Loki actually controlled them. Anton, who observed this scene through Cyborg's perspective, also learned the truth. If Loki really controlled Doom, Tony, and Harry, then who dared to say that the other members of the Avengers were not controlled by Loki? Analyzing the current situation, Loki took the initiative to come to the door and fall into the trap, not only to delay time for Victor Doom, but also to use the power of the Mind Scepter to control SHIELD and all the members of the Avengers. Anton's expression was serious, and he began to prepare for the worst. Boom! Exclamation mark. Shortly after, the blue light column that went straight into the sky rose. Terrifying electric currents and flames collided around the Stark Building. Cyborg's figure was then exposed to everyone. Iron Man, Harry, and even Victor Doom, who were fighting with him, all fell into the sight of many people around Stark Tower. Bang, bang, bang. A fierce battle started. "Everyone leave Manhattan." Cyborg dodged while using his ability to control the entire Manhattan area network and quickly connected to the loudspeakers of municipal facilities, radio channels, and billboards on major streets to issue notices. "I'm Cyborg. All citizens leave Manhattan immediately. Emergency notice. I'm Cyborg. All citizens leave Manhattan immediately." He left a voice message and played it repeatedly. Then he gathered his mind, flew in the air around Stark Tower, stared at Iron Man, Tony, and Harry, who were attacking him, and waved his hand to shoot several energy shells as a counterattack. Boom. There were flames around the building like fireworks. However, the gorgeous flames at this time could no longer attract the attention of the spectators, but instead made them fall into extreme panic and fled one by one in a panic. Cyborg's reminder made them feel an unprecedented crisis. Previously, in the crisis events that New York encountered, no superhero would give such a reminder. "All citizens leave Manhattan immediately." This sentence was enough to make all citizens, especially those in the Manhattan area, feel unprecedented panic. "This way. Follow our command." The patrolling police officers immediately went out to direct the traffic and opened all restrictions so that the citizens in the Manhattan area could evacuate the area as soon as possible. George Stus's face changed drastically. He finally realized that the Avengers' actions in Times Square yesterday afternoon were not the truth that Eddie reminded him of. The situation encountered today was Chapter 260, The Zenglian and the Avengers Fight Again. Additional chapter for the leader Jackie. The special forces also saw the blue beam of light appearing on the rooftop helipad of Stark Tower in Manhattan at the first time. At the same time, they received Anton's notification. "Act immediately." So under Hawk's command, all the special forces assembled, fully armed, and rushed to Stark Tower. Halfway, they saw that a battle had broken out near Stark Tower. Iron Man, Harry, and Victor Doom, the three of them were joining hands to besiege the lone Cyborg. In addition to Victor Doom, Iron Man, Harry, and Cyborg flew around Stark Tower, and from time to time there were artillery shells, stirring up a huge wave in flames. The scene was very hot. Just as they rushed to the scene, Wonder Woman and Green Arrow quickly appeared. The former took off and intercepted Harry in a flying posture. The latter stood on the rooftop of the building opposite Stark Tower and aimed his arrow at Victor Doom near the space gate. It was currently a 3-on-3 situation. At the same time, in addition to the special forces, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Daredevil, Venom, Evil Dead, Spider-Man, and other members of the Justice League also received the signal sent by Anton to gather, and were about to arrive at the scene. After hearing the information broadcast by Cyborg taking over the entire New York network, these people also realized that this was no small matter. It is also worth mentioning that the location of the special forces was originally in Manhattan. In just a few minutes, a group of people arrived downstairs of Stark Building. At this time, Stark Building was already deserted. "Hurry up," Hawk said in a deep voice. "The target is that beam of light. We have to destroy the device and prevent the other party from opening the space gate." When Anton ordered the special forces to act, he reminded them of the key to this operation. Space gate. The other party wants to open the space gate and bring in alien troops to invade the Earth. Because Batman has solved more than one alien crisis, Hawk also has some understanding of Loki's origin from John Connor and S.H.I.E.L.D., so he did not doubt Anton's warning at all, and his expression was very serious. However, just after he finished giving the order, a plane attacked. Boom. Several figures suddenly jumped down from the plane in midair and landed in front of them. They were Black Widow, Hawkeye, Sandman, and Dr. Octopus. Avengers? Seeing this, the Special Forces members frowned slightly. Avengers, we have the same goal. There is something wrong with the beam of light above our heads. Hawk felt that the expressions of the Avengers opposite him were not quite right, but he didn't think much about it. Instead, he said, "We must do it as soon as possible." Whoosh. But Dr. Octopus surged the mechanical arm behind him, and the arm quickly extended and stabbed Hawk fiercely. Boom. The ground sank, stone chips flew, and spider web-like cracks spread. Hawk's forehead was covered with cold sweat. If he hadn't dodged quickly, he would have been smashed into a meat paste by this mechanical arm. "Otto, what are you doing?" Duke was also startled, and quickly pulled Hawk into the team. All the special forces looked grim, and looked at the Avengers. The atmosphere was instantly low, and the air around them seemed to solidify. However, the four Avengers in front of them did not answer, but attacked them together. Hawkeye and Black Widow rushed into the crowd. Although the members of the special forces were powerful, they were only strong among ordinary people. After being injected with the Extremis virus, Hawkeye and Black Widow had become superpowered people, and the latter were no match at all. Even using guns and hot weapons could not stop the two. Not to mention Sandman and Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus's mechanical arm instantly killed the heavy artillery, who was quite capable and valued by Hawk. Then one arm entangled with Ninja Snake Eyes, and the other arm easily knocked Duke away, and there were also parachute cords and circuit breakers. Sandman's elemental ability is even more advantageous when facing special forces. He turned into wind and sand, easily stirred up Red Hair Girl and Roadhog, and sent them flying. Flint next to him was so angry that he stepped forward to help, but his neck was broken by Sandman. In a short encounter, the special forces suffered heavy casualties. Hawk's eyes were red, and he was in grief. These were his comrades, but they died at the hands of those they thought were their companions. Arsehole. Hawk clenched his fists, biting his teeth until they bled, but he was unaware of it. Avengers. As he was helpless and furious, a black figure appeared around him. He was tall, muscular, had sharp claws, and big eyes with whites. It was Venom in Eddie's incarnation. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Then came Spider-Man, Daredevil, Entity, and the Ninja Turtles, who were able to sense the scene through their teleportation bracelets. Venom blocked Dr. Octopus. Entity used a freezing gun to stop Sandman's actions. Spider-Man, Daredevil, and the little turtles surrounded Black Widow and Hawkeye, isolating them from fighting the Special Forces members. "Leave this to us. You evacuate temporarily." Seeing this, the evil ghost on the flying skateboard, that is, Phil, said in a deep voice, "It's too late to close the space gate. You go to the rooftop opposite the Stark building, bring weapons, and focus on attacking the aliens who came to the Earth later, and do your best to control the battlefield in Manhattan. As for how to close the space gate, Batman said that this matter is left to us." "Okay." Hawk clenched his fists. Although the special forces suffered heavy losses, there were still many people left. With these people and him as the commander, the special forces will not disperse. "Let's go." Hawk waved and took away the remaining members of the special forces who were suppressing their anger and grief. The special forces quickly evacuated to the rooftop of the building not far away. At this time, Tony and Harry, who were in the air in the Stark building, fell from the sky and landed heavily on the ground, setting off a wave of air. Cyborg and Wonder Woman also joined the Justice League camp on the ground. The Justice League and the Avengers will usher in a real showdown again. There is no doubt that this showdown will be more intense than the battle in Washington. Green Arrow is still on the rooftop, confronting Victor Doom. Of course, Green Arrow is definitely not Doom's opponent. His position is mainly to provide Anton with a perspective to observe the space gate. The space gate is about to open. At this time, Anton, who is on the rooftop of a certain building, has already transformed into Batman. To destroy the space gate, brute force is simply not enough. We must use Loki's Mind Scepter and borrow the same energy of the Infinity Stones to break through the protective shield. Anton pondered. The original plot has already given the best solution, and he doesn't need to think too much. And to find the Mind Scepter, it is natural to find Loki first. Since the Avengers controlled by Loki have appeared, it also means that Loki should have arrived at the scene as well. The apartment on the top floor of Stark Tower. Anton's eyes crossed the relatively distant distance and locked onto the space below the rooftop of Stark Tower. There are 2 more chapters to be added, and the time will be very late, definitely after 12 o'clock, or I can't finish it, so I will wait until tomorrow morning to finish it and post it. In short, no need to wait. Chapter 262, The Kingdom of Heaven arrives. Additional chapter for the leader Jackie. Seeing the energy beam coming, Anton's eyes fixed, and he dodged quickly. Boom! Exclamation mark. The wall behind him exploded, and a hole appeared. Anton frowned slightly under the mask. Although the cloak behind him has a certain degree of protection, it is not enough to face the energy beam released by the Mind Scepter in Loki's hand. In other words, using the Arkham Knight armor to face Loki, a god from Asgard, is indeed a little outdated. It's time to change clothes. Currently 45 million justice points, up to the Kingdom Come armor can be exchanged. Do you want to exchange? Anton's mind moved, and he chose to confirm without hesitation. Originally, he planned to use the villain in the Fantastic Four movie, Victor Doom, Dr. Doom, to brush up a wave of justice points, but unexpectedly, Victor Doom was recruited into the Avengers by SHIELD in advance, and he didn't have the opportunity to brush up the points. The justice points could not reach 50 million, and it was still only 45 million. In this way, there is no need to worry about the Kingdom Come armor and the anti-Superman armor. Exchange successful. 40 million justice points have been deducted. The system prompt flashed in his mind. Anton clenched his fists, and in front of Loki, the armor on his body changed rapidly. This scene happened so fast that Loki felt that in the blink of an eye, the Batman in front of him made him feel a huge threat that he had never felt before. Immediately afterwards, the armor on Batman's body changed. The golden belt turned silver, and there was an additional bat plaque. The pure black armor quickly turned into another black, but more shiny metal. The cape behind him also changed accordingly. It seemed that there was an additional metal part. It looked more like wings than a cape. It is worth mentioning that the biggest change of this armor compared to the previous ones is probably the flying device on the back, as well as the laser equipped, and the sharp blades on the wings. By the way, this armor has a terrifying defense. After all, to a certain extent, this is also a set of armor that can face Superman directly. In the story of Kingdom Come, the struggle of superheroes makes humans suffer. At this time, superheroes are more like superpowers. In the most intense battle stage of superpowers, Captain Atom exploded in the battle, turning the entire state of Kansas into a radiation zone, and the death toll on the spot was close to 1 million. Such a horrific death toll shocked the world. Finally, Superman, who retired due to the death of Lois, returned. In order to rebuild the order among superhumans, he took extremely tough measures, forcing everyone to make a choice, treating those who disobeyed as enemies, and forming a new Justice League. Batman did not agree with Superman's approach, and refused to join the new Justice League. Instead, he secretly joined the camp of Superman's nemesis, Luthor. In short, in the final three-way melee, the Kingdom Come armor showed a power that was no weaker than any superhero. It was not until Shazam sacrificed himself and Superman's humanity returned that the doomsday-like battle ended with a politically correct peaceful ending. At the same time, the story of Kingdom Come also came to an end. No matter which version of the story, there is always someone to sacrifice. Usually this person is either Lois Lane or Barry Allen. The same is true in the story of Kingdom Come. Lois died early, laying the groundwork for Superman's return, to be more divine than human. However, perhaps the screenwriter found his conscience, and the person who was sacrificed in the end was not the Flash, but Shazam. Oh no, Shazam. Let's get back to the point. Seeing that Batman seemed to have undergone earth-shaking changes in the blink of an eye, Loki narrowed his eyes, and a trace of doubt could not help but appear in his eyes. At this moment, the threat brought to him by the opposite Batman instantly doubled. Loki saw that the opponent's armor had changed, but he didn't know what kind of energy this changed armor had. Whoosh! Loki used the scepter to release energy rays again. At this time, Anton no longer dodged. The Kingdom Come armor was equipped with a laser device. Facing Loki's attack, he was fully capable of long-range counterattack. Boom. Energy beams and lasers collided in mid-air, causing a huge flame to ignite, and a rolling heat wave swept over. Loki frowned. He had already seen that the other party's combat power increased sharply after changing into a set of armor. The leader of the Justice League is really good. Loki sneered. Whoosh. Batman broke through the flames again, wrapped in heat waves, with the help of the aircraft behind him, and his fist as big as a casserole seemed to have the power to break rocks, and smashed towards Loki fiercely. Loki raised his hand to block, and a divine shield appeared in front of him. He is also a magician. Although illusion is his forte, it does not mean that he is not familiar with other magic operations. Magic Shield, or Divine Shield, is the most common spell. Crack. However, what shocked Loki was that Batman's punch actually shattered his divine shield. The translucent shield in front of him shattered like a glass plate, and fine lines spread instantly. Whoosh. The next moment, Batman released a laser. Boom. Exclamation mark. Loki's pupils shrank, and his body was instantly pierced by the laser, and the floor was pierced. However, Anton was not happy. He clearly saw that the figure of Loki in front of him was disillusioned. This was just an illusion. Some ability. Anton had a blank expression on his face, and was not surprised by this. Loki is best at escaping. If Loki could be killed so easily, he would not have been causing trouble since Avengers 1, and would not have survived until Avengers 3 to be finally killed. Of course, judging from the film and television plans announced by Marvel before Anton traveled through time, the killed Loki was just one of the parallel time and space. In Avengers 4, the Avengers traveled back and changed part of the timeline, causing Loki, who was supposed to die, to escape the fate of death. Marvel even announced the news of the comic-adapted American TV series Loki, which is enough to show that Loki is favored by fate and his vitality is like an indestructible cockroach. While thinking, Anton glanced at the huge open window and the situation of the whole Manhattan. The dense army of Chitauri has arrived. Time is running out. Anton looked coldly, searching for Loki. I don't have time to play house with you here. Near Stark Tower, the battle between the Justice League and the Avengers quickly entered a white-hot stage in a short period of time. This time, all members of the Justice League showed no mercy. They all knew that the Avengers had been controlled by the enemy, and every move in the battle was aimed at the vital points. Moreover, there were aliens all around who were very dangerous. There was no time to entangle with the Avengers, so everyone went all out. Speaking of which, it doesn't seem good to kill you. At this time, Green Arrow, Venom, and the Turtle suppressed Hawkeye and Black Widow, and exchanged arrows in their hands, with a low tone. Let's just destroy them. It's 2 o'clock, the extra chapters are finished, and I'm going to sleep. By the way, please subscribe. The subscription situation is actually very bad recently. Well, thank you everyone. Chapter 263 Melee. Fire Hydrant as the Eternal God. After replacing the ordinary arrows in his hand with frozen arrows, Green Arrow's face was cold and his eyes were fierce. Green Arrow could have used fishing net arrows, but given the state of Hawkeye and Black Widow, after using the fishing net arrows, He would have to have someone watch them, wasting manpower. It would be better to just destroy them and throw them aside to fend for themselves. Of course, with the vitality of these two people, they would not die suddenly. At most, they would take a long time to recuperate. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Several frozen arrows shot at Hawkeye and Black Widow. The two had no expression on their faces. Even when facing the lethal and threatening arrows, they seemed to feel no threat. Hawkeye waved the bow and arrow in his hand, intending to shoot away the oncoming frozen arrows. However, when the arrows were about 2 meters away from them, they exploded with a bang, and an astonishing cold air filled the air, quickly freezing the surrounding air and spreading to Hawkeye and Black Widow's bodies, and their hands and feet were immediately covered with ice. Although they were controlled by Loki, it didn't mean they were stupid. The freezing air descended, causing the two to change their faces slightly. Then, the little turtles rushed forward. Leonardo wielded his two swords and smoothly cut off Hawkeye's arm holding the bow and arrow. Raphael held a sharp steel fork and pierced Black Widow's thigh. Michelangelo locked Black Widow's neck with nunchakus, while Donatello took the stick and quickly broke Black Widow's legs. It's too hot. Black Widow's body was so hot that her nunchakus began to melt. Michelangelo felt like he was about to become a turtle in turtle soup. He stared at Venom, whose hands had turned into huge scimitars, and urged him repeatedly, "Hurry up. Here it comes." The scimitars that Venom's hands turned into were very sharp. They swept across and cut off Black Widow's legs. Then, he spun around and cut off Hawkeye's other arm, while Leonardo cut off his arm. In the blink of an eye, Black Widow and Hawkeye, one lost both legs, the other lost both hands. They are the most disabled among the Avengers, and they deserve it. Whoosh. At this time, Green Arrow used the arrow of the fishing net, and a tough fishing net was cast down, covering Hawkeye and Black Widow. The disabled two can be left to fend for themselves. Of course, due to the injection of the extremis virus, their hands and feet can grow back, so they will not be disabled for life. The body energy consumed in this process is enough to make the two lose most of their combat effectiveness without nutritional supplements. In other words, they will lose their threat. Next, you don't have to worry about it. Go kill those aliens. Green Arrow ordered. The battlefield must be controlled in the Manhattan area, and they can't be allowed to go to other places to cause damage. Understood. Venom and the turtles nodded one after another. Then, Green Arrow turned his attention to Sandman and Evil Ghost Phil. Daredevil and Spider-Man were entangled with Sandman and Dr. Octopus. Dr. Octopus was easier to deal with, and the troublesome one was Sandman. The Sandman, who could transform into an element, was almost immune to all physical attacks. Only the freezing gun in Phil's hand could cause damage to the Sandman, and the fire hydrant on the roadside. Spider-Man smashed the fire hydrant and a column of water sprayed out. But the Sandman had suffered a loss once, so he was careful not to be fooled. He dodged away early, and then a sneer appeared on his face made of sand. It's not easy to fight. Spider-Man and Phil showed solemn expressions. Whoosh. However, the Sandman didn't notice that on the other side of the battlefield, Green Arrow and others had quickly dealt with Black Widow and Hawkeye. A freezing arrow flew over and exploded in the air. The icy breath swept up and froze the Sandman directly. The Sandman was stabbed in the back by Green Arrow. The backstab here is naturally a literal translation, meaning an attack from behind. Spider-Man was very surprised. He pressed the water outlet of the fire hydrant with his hand to change the direction of the water so that it all poured onto the Sandman, whose half of his body was frozen. Zzzz. The Sandman fell to the ground on the spot. It has to be said that in the battles against elemental villains faced by major superheroes, fire hydrants in the city are all invisible special props. Especially in Spider-Man's worldview. Facing Sandman or Electro, fire hydrants are always gods. After Black Widow, Hawkeye and Sandman were defeated one after another. Only Dr. Octopus was left among the 4 Avengers who first appeared. Green Arrow, Spider-Man, Venom and Daredevil. The 4 looked at Dr. Octopus, who found himself surrounded by the Justice League and subconsciously froze and clenched their fists. Dr. Octopus is easy to deal with. Just remove all the mechanical arms behind him. Dr. Octopus, who lost his mechanical arms, is a weak chicken with no power. Soon, Dr. Octopus's mechanical arms were removed. The four freed their hands and looked at the flying Zatori soldiers and the light column at the rooftop helipad of Stark Tower. Except for Green Arrow, they all showed a headache. Anton's clones all have the ability to communicate with each other mentally and can even share perspectives. Through the perspectives of others, Green Arrow knew that the current situation was indeed tense, but it was not to the point of surrender. Under Batman's orders, the battlefield where the aliens were active was always controlled in the Manhattan area with difficulty. Special Forces, Captain America Rogers, Thor, Ninja Turtles, Venom, and other personnel have been fully encircling and suppressing the aliens that came out of the space gate. The remaining New York Police Department also surrounded the city and swept up the aliens that were alone. The main reason was that the citizens in Manhattan were evacuated first. At least, near the Stark building, there were no spectators at all. At the beginning of the incident, Cyborg's warning made many New Yorkers, especially Manhattan residents, realize the seriousness of the problem. New Yorkers have encountered this situation many times and have developed good escape skills. Some people directly dug a basement at home, stored food and water, and stored more than 300 discs. They could watch one disc every day for a year. Therefore, most of the damage caused by the battle was only the surface of the city, and the actual casualties caused to the citizens became an acceptable number. Of course, no matter what, the most urgent task at the moment is to close the space gate. This depends on Anton's true form, Batman. In addition, it is worth mentioning that Iron Man and Cyborg are flying around in the sky and fighting around the entire Manhattan. The fight between the two attracted the brave citizens outside the Manhattan area to watch. No one cheered for Iron Man. They found that a blue beam of light appeared in the Stark building. At present, many people even think that Iron Man is the culprit of this incident. It was Iron Man who opened the space gate and allowed aliens to invade the Earth. It's a bit of a headache, so I'll just update this one today. It's the end of the month. I don't want to write anymore. There is always such a day every month. In addition, I have to move out of my home during the May Day holiday. To put it bluntly, I'm moving, so the updates in the first few days of May may be less stable 4,000 words. Wait until I'm stable and then slowly update. This month, I've updated about 220,000 words, and I'll post the end of month summary later. That's all. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 264, Batman's Incredible Companions. Previously, Tony recalled the Washington incident, the branch organization of Hydra, and the nano-arm warheads used by Cobra, which gave Tony inspiration to improve the armor. This compressed the process of Tony using somatosensory equipment to remotely control the armor, skipped the second step of armor transformation, and went directly from portable to the realm of human armor integration. But compared with the original plot, the nano armor presented in the final battle of Avengers 4, the nano armor Tony is currently showing, can only be regarded as a semi-finished product. Although it is possible to dress quickly with the arc reactor after the chest is transformed, it is limited by the times and technology. Tony has only achieved rapid dressing, and the nano limitations of some weapons, such as lasers, bullets, palm cannons, etc., which are well known and technically not that difficult. As for other more specific weapons, such as Sidewinder missiles, Tony is still unable to get out of the limitations of nanotechnology. In other words, Tony enjoys convenience, but reduces the number of weapons and clothing. However, it is worth mentioning that Tony's combat effectiveness has not decreased as a result, but has increased a lot. Although the nano armor cannot allow Tony to manifest the hot weapons he relies on, it can switch to any cold weapons, such as changing into a shield to block, using nano flying knives to attack opponents, and so on. In addition, inspired by Batman, he started learning martial arts early in the past few months. With his smart mind and advanced drugs, he has become more agile in a short period of time. In summary, Tony, who has turned black, can take the initiative in this battle, and is more comfortable with it. As a result, his battle with Cyborg has fallen into a stalemate. Cyborg can't crush Tony with his superior ability as before, and can only barely maintain the upper hand. The two sides fought very fiercely, and the surrounding Chitauri didn't even dare to approach the battlefield of the two. The aftermath of their attack and defense can easily kill a Chitauri soldier without any effort. Of course, the battle between Cyborg and Iron Man seems to be the most eye-catching at this time. In fact, everyone knows that their battle can't affect the overall situation at all. In the eyes of the public, the ones who can really influence the overall situation are Wonder Woman and Victor Doom, who are located on the rooftop of Stark Tower, near the blue light column connected to the space gate above their heads, and Doom is struggling in the hands of Wonder Woman. The Cosmic Cube is providing energy for the space gate, and Doom cannot get the infinite energy assistance from the Cosmic Cube at all. After losing the infinite energy given by the Cosmic Cube, his combat power at this time is far inferior to the level when he defected from the Pegasus Project base more than a week ago and faced his original Avengers companions. Even if he has the superpowers of metallization and controlling electric current, it is difficult for him to last more than 10 minutes in the hands of Wonder Woman. Boom. With a divine power impact, Doom flew backwards. Wonder Woman's body flashed, and she burst out like a cannonball. She came in front of Doom and kicked him into the apron with one foot. Doom's mouth was bleeding. He took Wonder Woman's unrelenting blow head on. Even after he turned metal, it was difficult for him to get away with it. Ha 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 ha. Wonder Woman stepped on his chest, and the tip of the sword of Vulcan stopped in front of Doom's eyes. The sword only needed to move forward an inch to pierce Doom's eyeballs and enter his brain. Even if Doom had a metal body, he couldn't block this sword. Close the space door. Wonder Woman said, Victor, you only have one chance. I can't close it. Victor Doom laughed wildly. The Earth is finished. Boom. The sword of Vulcan pierced Doom's head without hesitation. In an instant, the brain burst into red and white, but not a bit of it touched Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman at this time had no expression on her face, and she had expected Doom's answer. She had all the memories of the original body, and she knew the situation in front of her very well. The reason why she asked that question was just to try whether Victor Doom, the Doctor Doom in the comics, would have a different answer before he died and faced the threat of life. The result was not beyond her expectations. On the other side, the apartment under the tarmac. Anton, incarnated as Batman, was searching for the location of Loki after he became invisible. Loki was frantically wandering around Anton. His footsteps were silent, and he even raised his mind scepter, ready to attack at any time. However, Loki was surprised to find that Anton's movements changed accordingly with his position. It was as if he could see himself. Loki frowned and instantly felt a little hesitant, losing his previous confidence. Have you had enough fun? Anton's eyes locked on Loki after he became invisible, which was the position of the sofa in the apartment. Your magic is indeed very exquisite, he said lightly, but if you only use magic to change the refraction of light to achieve the invisible effect, then you will never escape my sight. The permanent thermal energy scan on Batman's armor is not vegetarian. Obviously, Loki underestimated the power of technology. Although in Thor's view, magic, to a certain extent, is also a kind of technology. In the eyes of Loki, who is full of pride and superiority, the Earth is just a backward planet, and humans, mere mortals, can only be servants of God. What can servants make? Stone axes? Wooden swords? Even modern technology is only a short step ahead of thousands of years of slash and burn farming. The two worlds are not on the same level. How could he be mocked by a native? Whoosh. Loki's face twisted. Hearing Anton's ridicule, he felt humiliated and emitted an energy beam. Boom. Anton used a laser to detonate the energy beam. Fire burst out. Loki's figure appeared in another direction, and Anton looked over immediately. Do you think you won? Loki pointed at Manhattan behind him with his mind scepter and sneered. Look at your world. It's already a mess. New York is just the beginning, and soon, the whole world will surrender to me. You should ask yourself this question. Anton asked back, Loki, do you think you won? Loki's face froze again, and then twisted again. He had no idea where the man opposite him got the confidence to dare to speak to him like this. The Chitauri can't destroy the Earth. Anton said, I thought you were going to say something, that's all. Loki laughed. Why do you look down on the Chitauri? Just because of those superheroes outside? They can't even take care of themselves. Really? Anton said calmly. I advise you to take a closer look. Loki frowned. He turned his head subconsciously. Suddenly, a huge green figure jumped up from somewhere and directly crossed the roof of a building, crushing a Chitauri soldier in his hand. Immediately afterwards, a humanoid lizard climbed onto the rooftop and blew up a passing Chitauri soldier with its tail. Next to the humanoid lizard, there was a humanoid rat that was more than 1 meter tall, only 1/3 the size of a lizard man, but still surprisingly large in the eyes of ordinary people. The rat was agile, jumped off the rooftop, kicked away the passing Chitauri soldier, took away his aircraft, and controlled the energy gun on the aircraft, killing one kid with one shot. Then, a figure with flames all over his body rose into the air, followed by a man in a strange battlesuit, a monster with muscles like stone, and a hot woman surrounded by an invisible force field. The most surprising thing is that Harry, who was ignored after his blackening, faced an incredible opponent. This is a man who also rides a flying skateboard, wears a green armor, and dresses like a goblin. If you are familiar with it, you can immediately recognize that this person is Batman's former opponent, Green Goblin. I don't want to stop updating, so I rushed to write a chapter and took a break. I'm too tired from moving, so this is the only chapter today. I may go out with my parents tomorrow. The update is not certain for the time being, and it will be resumed on the 3rd at the latest. Chapter 265. The Scepter of the Mind is obtained. That's right. Harry's opponent is the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, who suddenly appeared from nowhere. Since the Fantastic Four joined Connors and Banner's research team, with the participation of Reed Richards and others, combined with the previous achievements of Connors and Banner, they finally developed the final antidote to overcome the side effects of human enhancement potions. Of course, this does not mean that human enhancement potions can be mass-produced. At least, it is extremely unlikely to turn a person into a super soldier like the Green Goblin, and it requires the so-called right time, right place, and right people. To put it bluntly, it is luck. Human enhancement potions are still very dangerous. If you take the risk of injecting, the possibility of genetic collapse is very high, and the mortality rate is so high that, even if you survive the most dangerous steps, you will definitely leave sequelae. Note that there will definitely be sequelae. The specific manifestations of sequelae are still unclear. It is more likely that, even if others survive successfully, they will have genetic diseases and will not live long. From the only successful case, the Green Goblin, his side effect of becoming a mental patient and giving birth to a violent and brutal second personality can be regarded as luck against the sky. The sewer experiment team speculated that perhaps it was because of the genetic defect disease inherited by the Osborn family that led to the use of poison to fight poison, which allowed him to survive luckily. However, the sewer experiment team did not dwell on the human enhancement potion. Based on the human enhancement potion, they developed a potion that can develop human potential and named it the Life Potion. The Life Potion can stimulate human potential, enable the human body to quickly develop its internal potential, reach the human limit, and increase lifespan. For the Osborn family, the Life Potion has a therapeutic effect on their genetic diseases. If the Life Potion can be taken for a long time, the Osborn family will completely end the genetic disease that has tortured their family for many years in Harry's generation. Not only will they become normal people, but they can also strengthen their physical fitness and easily reach their human limit after exercise. After Norman returned to normal, he was so excited that he burst into tears when he heard this news from his former employee, Dr. Connors. Just when he was about to return to Osborn and announce the good news to Harry, the New York War was approaching. Anton specially found Norman and asked Norman to hide temporarily and block the news, not even telling Harry, because at a critical moment, Norman might need to transform into the Green Goblin again, follow others, come to New York, and turn the tide. In this way, Norman can also take this opportunity to wash away the stain of being the Green Goblin and make a public appearance. When the Wayne Company launches the Life Potion, Norman Osborn will become the most useful Spokesperson. The Life Potion will immediately sweep the world and become the most influential invention in the 21st century. Anton's idea is correct. But Anton did not expect that the evolution of the plot would be more intense than he imagined. Loki actually controlled almost all members of the Avengers, including Harry. At this time, Harry, who had turned black, was not excited or ecstatic about the appearance of the Green Goblin. His face under the mask was calm, as if he had seen a stranger. Harry's movements were unprecedentedly fierce. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The missiles loaded on the flying skateboard under his feet, which was very similar to the other party, shot out with a long tail flame, killing the Green Goblin. Harry. Norman's face under the mask was a little heavy. Seeing Harry's expressionless and out of control, he clenched his fist slightly, revealing his hatred for the mastermind behind the scenes. I thought I could see a picture of a loving father and a filial son, but I didn't expect it to be a father saying goodbye to his son. Norman had no choice but to activate the missile on the flying skateboard under his feet. Boom. A huge fire exploded in the sky, and a powerful shockwave spread in all directions, and the airflow swept wildly. The walls of the high-rise buildings shook faintly, the glass shattered instantly, and the crystal fragments poured down. Fortunately, the residents of the entire Manhattan area were evacuated in a short time, or they hid in the safe house in the basement, otherwise the consequences would be unpredictable. Seeing this, the surrounding Zatori soldiers did not dare to approach, and walked around, fearing that they would be swept by the aftermath. They were desperate in their hearts. Why are there so many messy guys on this remote planet? The combat power level of these guys is not considered weak even in the universe, so why are they gathered on Earth? Caca. Loki clenched his fists, his finger joints clearly visible. He was speechless for a moment when he saw Batman suddenly summon so many helpers, not knowing what to say. With the presence of these superpowers, the situation of this battle has fallen into a strange balance. As time went on, the Chitauri soldiers who had been pouring into the Earth, plus the biological warships that looked like turtles flying in the air, were enough to completely defeat the members of the Justice League who had been struggling to resist the Chitauri army and trying to control the battlefield in the Manhattan area. But Loki never expected that Batman had so many helpers in addition to the members of the Justice League. Where did these people come from? Although he knew something about the situation on the Earth, he couldn't figure out how Batman could gather such a huge and terrifying force in more than a year. Did you see it clearly? Anton saw Loki's expression change and knew that he understood the current situation. He said coldly, "The Chitauri can't break through the Earth." "No, you don't know at all. The Chitauri are not the key." Loki quickly calmed down his inner shock, and a smile reappeared on his face. He replied, "The Earth can't escape. What's more, the Chitauri army is in full force. What you see now is just a drop in the bucket. Even if you have the upper hand now, how long can you hold on?" Loki sneered, "You can't close the space gate at all, and you can't stop the invasion of the Chitauri. Sure enough, there is nothing to say between us." Anton sighed. Whoosh. He pulled out the grappling hook gun from his waist and shot it at Loki. Loki dodged quickly, but was shocked to find that, although the grappling hook gun was coming towards him, it was not to catch him, but to catch the Mind Scepter in his hand. What? Loki was shocked. The power of this scepter fits him perfectly. He can't give up the Mind Scepter. Besides, it has to be returned. Of course, whether it is still there or not is one thing, and whether it is lost or not is another. Whoosh. Loki grabbed the scepter with all his strength to prevent Batman from taking it away. At this time, Batman shot another terrifying laser. Boom. Loki had no choice but to loosen his grip on the scepter. The floor where he was instantly pierced by the laser, revealing a huge hole, and a touch of wall dust flew in front of Loki's eyes. On the other side, Anton got the Mind Scepter, and the process was much easier than he expected. The purpose of the previous communication with Loki was to paralyze Loki's nerves. Otherwise, he would have nothing better to do. Before chatting with Loki, Anton looked down on a so-called god who only played tricks from beginning to end, never cared about the lives of mortals, and claimed to be high above. Even before the time travel, the person he looked down on the most was Loki. "You bastard." Seeing that his Mind Scepter was taken away, Loki attacked in anger, but a tall and slender figure appeared behind him. Bang! Wonder Woman kicked Loki without reservation. Whoosh! Loki felt a sharp pain in his waist, and a terrifying force surged into his body. He flew out like a rag doll, and fell from the sky of Stark Tower. Chapter 266. It's time to close the door and beat the dog. Let's go back a few minutes. The Chitauri army is pouring into the earth. All the superheroes in the Justice League are fighting against the alien enemies. The special forces and the New York police are trying their best to maintain order outside the field. George, the police chief, also bravely led the task force and took the initiative to enter the battle area in Manhattan to fight the aliens. All kinds of pictures were quickly spread through many cameras outside the Manhattan area and word of mouth on the internet. In a short period of time, it caused panic among most people in the world. It is worth mentioning that in this extremely critical situation, there are still fearless reporters who hold cameras and broadcast live through TV stations and the internet. They are located at the highest point outside the Manhattan area and have a panoramic view of the entire battlefield in the air. Their professionalism is admirable. However, no one is paying attention to the reporter team holding cameras to broadcast the current situation in Manhattan. Everyone's attention is focused on the live broadcast of the camera. This New York War, or the Manhattan War, has touched the hearts of hundreds of millions of people around the world. Although it has only been a dozen minutes since the incident, this battle has quickly fermented through public opinion. Aliens invade again. Such shocking news is panic. As we all know, panic is an emotion that can spread wantonly. At this time, governments, the World Security Council, and other organizations all contacted the US authorities at the first time, intending to provide support. No matter what the purpose, at this moment, the hearts of people all over the world are connected. The US authorities did not respond. The situation was urgent, and the US side only had time to send its own support troops to Manhattan immediately, so how could it take care of the help of others? However, it is conceivable that even in such a critical situation, the US side would not allow foreign troops to enter its territory. At worst, they would drop nuclear bombs. Yes, the US side has already realized it. Once the Justice League can't hold on, they will immediately drop nuclear bombs and bomb the entire Manhattan. In short, aliens must not be allowed to successfully invade the Earth. The live broadcast screen is limited. The reporter team located at the highest point outside the Manhattan area pointed the camera at the sky above the entire Manhattan and could only observe the sky above Manhattan. The fighting on the streets inside the area was not obvious. Of course, even if there was only the fighting scene in the sky, it was enough to make everyone feel terrified and scalp numb. Everyone saw that the strange and ugly aliens, whose names were unknown, were stepping on the flying vehicles and wantonly destroying the entire Manhattan area. But strangely, they were not in a hurry to leave Manhattan. Some people guessed that they were scared of being beaten. The Chitauri found that once some of them wanted to rush out of this area, they would be attacked by the enemy at all costs. Even if all the soldiers charged together, they could not break through the opponent's defense line. The opponent's several guys with extraordinary abilities can be regarded as elite combat forces in the universe, and they are the elite among the elites. With the people who entered the Earth now, they can only bully and suppress the opponent. While there are more people, it is very difficult to defeat or kill the opponent. However, these Chitauri are not in a hurry. Their army is pouring into this planet. With the number of soldiers they dispatched this time, as long as everyone can successfully enter the Earth, it will be enough to crush the opponent. Therefore, the Chitauri soldiers are not in a hurry to tear their faces with the other side, but plan to delay time and wait for all the troops to enter the Earth. That was the time to win. As for their enemies, the Justice League, the Special Forces, the only remaining Captain America in the Avengers, Thor who had not yet joined the Avengers, but only promised to cooperate, and even the people in the New York Police Department task force, all felt heavy in their hearts. Everyone was not stupid and clearly recognized the difficult dilemma they were facing. Although it seems that the Justice League and others have turned the situation around a lot after the appearance of the Hulk, Dr. Lizard, the Fantastic Four and the Green Goblin. In general, the number of enemies is still too large and is still increasing. If this continues, at most in half an hour, there will be hundreds of thousands of Chitauri soldiers in the entire Manhattan area. At that time, even if the US military arrives, it will be difficult to completely eliminate the enemy, unless nuclear bombs are used to wash the ground repeatedly. If the situation is really serious to that extent, the Justice League's action will undoubtedly fail. The most important thing is that no one knows now whether the space gate can be destroyed if nuclear bombs are used to wash the ground. If the space gate is not destroyed, the enemy will still have an entrance to invade the Earth. With the help of this entrance, the Earth, the entire planet, will gradually evolve into a huge battlefield. At this time, a group of people gathered together, facing the densely packed Zeta soldiers occupying most of the sky, as well as several biological warships. Obviously, the Zeta soldiers intend to use a human wave tactic to kill them. Batman is taking action on the space gate. Green Arrow's face was calm, exchanging information with several people around him, and more of it was his unilateral output of information. He said, the space gate is protected by a special energy layer, which is the energy emitted from the cosmic cube. This energy is very powerful, and the protective power makes it impossible for people to get close. Nothing can break this protective power, even a nuclear bomb. What should we do? Captain America's face was heavy. If the space gate cannot be closed, the world will fall into war. Don't worry, Batman has a way, Green Arrow said again. While speaking, he seemed to see something, and looked up at the location of the top floor apartment of Stark Tower not far away. Look. Swish. As soon as this sentence came out, everyone around, Captain America, Thor, Special Forces members, the Fantastic Four, Dr. Connors, the Hulk, and other characters all turned their heads to look over. Whoosh! A figure flew out from the penthouse. Loki. Thor frowned and exclaimed, swinging the Thor's hammer in his hand, and the whole person burst out, causing a fierce wave of air around. Whoosh! As the sound of breaking through the air resounded, the next moment, Thor came to Loki and caught Loki. At the same time, Wonder Woman jumped down from the penthouse and chased Loki. However, the eyes of others only swept over them, and then shifted to another person. That was the Batman who Green Arrow said had a way to close the space door and isolate the Chitauri from invading. See, I told you he had a way. Green Arrow smiled. Sharing Anton's memory, he clearly knew that his original body had taken the Mind Scepter from Loki. With the help of the power of the Mind Scepter and the Cosmic Cube, it is easy to break through the protective stance outside the Cosmic Cube, destroy the device that activates the power of the Cosmic Cube, and close the space door. Everyone. While speaking, Green Arrow turned his head and looked at his companions around him. The biggest problem has been solved. Now, it's time to close the door and beat the dog. Chapter 267 Batman's Crisis. The Chitauri assemble. Everyone was excited. Batman's next move confirmed what Green Arrow said. He jumped into the air, and the flying device behind him sprayed air. The whole person took off and came to the apron on the roof of Stark Tower. There was a body and a pool of blood here. Anton didn't even bother to look at it. His eyes fell on the protective stand that was like an inverted bowl. The thing in the center of the bowl-shaped protective stand was the cosmic cube that released dazzling blue light and contained endless energy. Hey, what is that human going to do? At this time, a Chitauri discovered his action. In the universe opposite the space gate, the charging soldiers who were observing the Earth also saw Batman's actions and had an ominous premonition. They immediately informed the leader. The Chitauri leader, who was sitting inside the largest biological warship in the universe, saw Batman's actions through the soldier's broadcast. His eyes fell on the Mind Scepter in Batman's hand, frowned, and shouted in a low voice, "Stop him." As soon as the voice came out, the soldiers immediately spread the leader's order. In an instant, all the Chitauri soldiers on Earth, as well as the Chitauri soldiers pouring into Earth from the universe, ignored their previous tactical preparations, completely ignored the enemy's attack, obeyed their superiors' orders, turned their aircrafts around, and dived towards Batman on the helipad of Stark Tower. At this time. Now, it's time to close the door and beat the dog. Shortly after Green Arrow finished speaking, he led his companions around him and rushed towards the Chitauri soldiers surrounding them. Whether it was the partners of the Justice League, members of the Special Forces, members of the New York Police Department's task force, or even the only representative of the Avengers, Captain America, they all united to protect the Earth. Boom. Green Arrow shot an explosive arrow and shot down a Chitauri soldier. The abilities of the others were equally strong. They rushed into the densely packed Chitauri soldiers and immediately triggered a series of aircraft explosions. However, within 2 minutes of their exertion, they saw the Zatori soldiers suddenly turn their aircraft around and instantly move away from their position, as if they were fleeing in a hurry. General Hawk was startled and said in surprise, "We beat them away." Not only him, but many people also showed doubts. The space gate is located above Stark Tower. The Zatori soldiers rushed towards Stark Tower, and it seemed that they were really escaping. "No, Captain America," Steve Rogers spoke, looking at the direction where the Zatori soldiers left, and made a judgment. "If you were them, would you run away at this time?" Hawk was silent. Of course he would not run, but would kill the opponent more frantically, delaying time until the situation was reversed. "It's Batman." Green Arrow's face sank. They saw the threat from Batman's actions, and their target is Batman. As soon as these words came out, everyone suddenly realized. "Quick!" Captain America shouted, "Go to support Batman, and make sure Batman successfully closes the space gate." At the same time, the camera focused on Batman, who was flying from the top apartment of Stark Tower to the upper helipad, at the position of the blue beam. Seeing the images broadcast by the camera, countless viewers, including many military leaders, were watching this scene closely. Batman started to act. One by one, the military leaders thought of what John Kohler said at the beginning of the incident. Batman seemed to be not unprepared for the alien invasion, and it seemed that he had a solution in advance. According to Batman's past record, once Batman took action, it meant victory was in sight. They were relieved at once. In addition, it is worth mentioning that these military leaders once again had a clear understanding of the terrifying power that Batman had assembled in this alien invasion war. Since the battle is coming to an end, there is something you need to know. From the information I have, in addition to the several official members of the Justice League that we know, Batman's helpers who appeared in this battle include the following people. General Colton, the top military leader, looked solemn. He was the early founder of the Special Forces that went to Manhattan this time. Although he had long retired from the Special Forces, he still had a very high status in the US military. Now, many generals present were his juniors, so they dared not act rashly. Therefore, as soon as he spoke, the whole audience was silent. Colton picked up the intelligence in his hand and said in a serious tone, "After investigation and comparison, we have basically confirmed their identities. Reed Richards, Sue Stone, Johnny Stone, Ben Grimm. You may be unfamiliar with these 4 people, but you should be more familiar with the next few people, especially one of them. Bruce Banner, the Hulk, the target that Ross once wanted to capture. Curtis Connors, Batman's former opponent, Dr. Lizard, and the Green Goblin, whose specific identity is unknown, are also Batman's former opponents. Oh, by the way, there is also the Big Rat. His name is Splinter, and he is the teacher of the Ninja Turtles." After the voice fell, the others looked at each other and ignored the Big Rat Splinter, who had a very low sense of existence. I didn't expect that Batman would recruit his former opponent as his partner. What a courage. Hulk was also recruited by him? It seems that this guy concealed a lot of information when dealing with the Ross incident. Don't you and I know about this? Everyone's voices gradually became louder. That's enough. Colton impatiently stopped everyone's discussion upon seeing this and said in a deep voice, "Reinforcement will arrive in New York soon. At present, it seems that if Batman can successfully close the space gate, this incident will be quickly settled. Thanks to Batman, although this incident was caused by the out of control of the Pegasus project, SHIELD is the first person responsible, and the Avengers are even more useless. They were actually controlled by the enemy's mind. We sent special forces to fight, which is enough to offset this part of the responsibility. If this incident ends smoothly, then the key we face is how to face Batman." After a pause, he continued, "Also, put away your unnecessary arrogance and ambition now. Replace the Justice League with special forces. You all know that this is not realistic. After this battle, Batman's reputation will reach its peak and no one can replace him." As Colton spoke, his eyes swept over everyone in the audience. Although we have a good cooperative relationship with Batman and a community of interests, he is not a military person after all. What I want to say is there any way to bind him to us a little more deeply? It may not be possible to bind Batman, but we can bind Anton. Suddenly, the Secretary of Defense, John Kohler, stood up and said firmly, Anton Jameson is the only person who can communicate with Batman. According to our intelligence, there is a deep connection between him and Batman, and the Jameson family, to which Anton belongs, has undergone our strict political review and fully meets the requirements. After saying that, seeing that everyone didn't understand, he changed his words. What I mean is that we can apply to the president to form a special military department and let Anton become the leader of this department. In this way, Anton will naturally be bound to us, and Batman will also accept our transfer to a certain extent because of Anton. Form a new military department? Colton pondered for a moment and frowned. In what name do you plan to achieve this goal? Aliens. Cola's eyes were burning. Everyone knows that this is not the first time aliens have appeared on Earth. As early as the last century, Transformers, the Kree, and various alien relics discovered around the world have proved that humans on Earth are not the only intelligent life in the universe. The world is constantly developing. Our future is the sea of stars. Sooner or later, we will come into contact with more aliens. It is better to organize a military department in advance to establish contact with aliens and even communicate and exchange what we need. As far as I know, Batman and others have a mysterious intelligence channel. I even suspect that they have already established contact with some alien visitors. That's a good idea. Colton nodded, looking at John Cola with a hint of appreciation, and then said, in this case, after this matter is over, we will have an internal vote. If it passes, I will immediately apply to the president. Okay, no problem. Others nodded. Look. At this time, someone exclaimed, those alien soldiers are all assembled and killing Batman. Batman is in danger. What? Including Colton. Everyone's breath was stagnant and their eyes were cast on the big screen. In the screen, the dense alien soldiers like honeycombs, and the huge biological warships suspended in the sky above Manhattan all turned around and killed in the direction of Stark Tower. This scene appeared on the screen, like a dark cloud covering the sky, rushing towards Batman. Across the screen, everyone saw Captain America and others chasing after these soldiers, launching powerful attacks, knocking down several soldiers, and even shooting down a biological warship, causing a violent explosion, but still unable to make these alien soldiers turn back. The outer Zatori soldiers completely became targets, protecting the core troops in front, and killing Batman with the greatest combat power. Not good. Captain America. Rogers' face was ugly. He gritted his teeth and said, it's too late. Whether it was Rogers, everyone else realized this. It's too late. The enemy's movements were too fast, and each of them had a flying machine, and their movement speed and mobility were far stronger than these people. The scary thing is that the Zatori soldiers and biological warships all gathered together, and perhaps in an instant, Batman would be subjected to unprecedented ammunition bombardment. If Batman can survive this round of bombing, they will have time to rush to the scene and help Batman out of danger. But if Batman can't survive, then he's finished. Not only is New York doomed, but the Earth may be doomed too. Chapter 268, Victory. Batman turns the tide. In a flash, the Zatori soldiers gathered at Stark Tower and surrounded Batman from all sides. Through the camera broadcast, everyone who saw this scene subconsciously became short of breath. Ordinary people don't know the key, but as soon as they saw Batman appear, a group of alien soldiers swarmed in and surrounded Batman, like a dark cloud covering the top, not wanting to give Batman any chance at all, so they guessed that Batman might hold the key to winning or losing this battle. In addition, in everyone's mind, Batman himself is a person who can turn the tide at a critical moment, which makes everyone who doesn't know the truth sure of their guess. In fact, their idea is indeed correct. At this time, Anton stood on the apron, just about to use a mind scepter in his hand to pass through the protective position of the cosmic cube. He saw the Zatori soldiers and biological warships from all directions, all like sandwich biscuits, gathering together. Combined with the on-site information, he knew that the Chitauri had felt the pressure from the Earth, and at the same time, felt the threat brought to this war by his actions, and planned to kill him at all costs. Boom. Boom. As soon as the thought flashed through his mind, the soldiers around him pulled the trigger. Countless terrifying shells, including the biological warship, gathered together. Dense energy rays shot from all directions, and Anton's incarnation of Batman was hit in a full coverage manner. Bang, bang, bang. Anton activated the laser and turned around quickly. The energy rays and shells in the air were all detonated in the air by his laser. Boom. The thunderous explosion sounded through the sky, deafening. The shells and energy rays exploded one after another like firecrackers, and the flames shot up into the sky. The strong air waves stirred up the air ripples visible to the naked eye. In the air, there was also an astonishing billowing smoke. Even the Black Chitauri could not stop the smoke from leaking out. Seeing this, Green Arrow and others subconsciously paused. Because their sight was blocked by the Chitauri's encirclement, they could not see clearly the situation of Batman, who was in the center of the Chitauri's encirclement. Under the huge explosion, not only did their hearts tremble, but their steps also paused, and their eyes were fixed on the front, fearing that Batman would really encounter an accident. Batman is fine. Seeing this, Green Arrow urged, "Time is running out. We must ensure that Batman can successfully close the space door." When the others heard this, they were relieved for some reason. Although they didn't know whether Green Arrow's words were true or not, Green Arrow, as Batman's loyal comrade, spoke in such a firm tone, thinking that he had a way to observe Batman's own condition. Whether it was a psychological effect or not, their tension was indeed relieved. This scene also fell into the sight of others. Gudang, the cameraman of the reporter team, swallowed his saliva. "Batman will be okay, right? Don't talk nonsense. Batman will not die even if you die." The reporter's hands trembled, and he couldn't hold the microphone steadily. He gritted his teeth and said, "God bless, Batman must be safe." Although the two people's conversation was lowered, it was still transmitted to the ears of all the people watching the live broadcast through the microphone with excellent sound quality. "Batman, don't get into trouble." Everyone crossed their fingers and clenched their fists, placed them on their chests, and prayed silently. In the encirclement of the Chitauri, although most of the attacks of countless shells and energy rays were detonated in advance by lasers, a small number of them still slipped through the net and killed Anton, who was in the original place. Anton stepped on the ground, and the aircraft behind him burst into a strong airflow, which made him soar into the air. Anton knew that staying on the tarmac would only make him a target for these aliens, so he found a gap and rushed into the interior of the Chitauri camp. Boom! Exclamation mark. Just as he expected. Although he was inside the enemy's formation, the enemy did not stop attacking, and the energy rays and shells were still sprayed without any cost, regardless of whether these shells would hurt his companions. Boom. The encirclement of the Chitauri was instantly filled with explosions. As the flames continued to burst out, Anton used laser beams and various weapons on his body to harvest the lives of the Chitauri soldiers while trying to avoid the enemy's attacks. However, the opponent's attack was too crazy, and this indiscriminate bombing without regard for the casualties of his companions more or less affected him. Ding 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 ding. Even if the defense of the Kingdom of Heaven Advent armor is strong, under such continuous damage, the durability continues to decline. In just a few blinks, a large number of Chitauri were killed and injured, and the durability of the Kingdom of Heaven Advent armor worn by Anton also dropped by 50%. Anton sighed secretly. Fortunately, when he was fighting Loki, he decisively exchanged for this set of armor. If he had relied on the Arkham Knight armor, it would have been impossible to delay to this point. Perhaps the armor would have destroyed him and killed him in the first round of crazy bombing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The thought had just flashed through his mind when the indiscriminate bombing of the Chitauri came again. After dodging with all his strength, a large number of unavoidable shells fell on Anton, and the aircraft behind him began to have symptoms of flameart. Anton's body inside the armor also felt a little pressure. Durability decreased by 69%. Damage rate 78%. Note that the damage rate of the Kingdom Come armor is more than half. The operating power is severely affected. The combat power is reduced by 66%. And the flight function is about to stop operating. Fortunately, he still has a trick. Repairing the Kingdom Come armor will deduct 16 million fans value, 40% of the original value of the armor. Do you confirm? Yes, Anton decisively confirmed. Among his current avatars, Batman is undoubtedly the top one. The accumulated fan value balance has long exceeded the 100 million mark. The other heroes combined are barely twice as much as Batman. The mere 16 million fan value is nothing to him. Swish. The next moment, Anton, who was originally shaky, instantly changed into a brand new armor. The Kingdom Come armor was restored to factory settings. Anton's combat power level reached its peak again, and his status was full. Boom. The laser beam surrounded the surrounding enemies and exploded instantly. After Anton's delay, his companions, Green Arrow and others finally arrived. Damn aliens, go to hell. Spider-Man's face under the mask was full of anger. His idol was besieged by the shameless aliens using human wave tactics. So many against one, he was in such a dangerous situation, which made him feel the same. Whoosh. The spider silk shot out, pulling the enemy's aircraft, and his body drew an arc in the air, and then kicked it away. Others used various methods to delay the Chitauri's actions. Batman, do what you should do. Captain America, Steve Rogers, clenched the shield in his hand, threw it out, and took it back. After killing the enemy, while fighting, he shouted, "Leave it to us." Seeing this, Anton nodded, and the airflow behind him sprayed, breaking through the Chitauri's defense line, and coming to the apron again. At this time, the apron was firmly occupied by the Chitauri. Their leader guessed Anton's purpose, so when Anton escaped from the encirclement, he immediately asked the subsequent Chitauri to guard this place. However, this team of Chitauri could not stop Anton's steps. Soon, Anton approached the cosmic cube again. Boom. At the critical moment, a biological warship passed through the space gate, and the long brewing terrifying shells attacked Anton, like a falling meteor, dragging a long tail flame. Batman, be careful. Everyone was shocked. Since the Chitauri formation was destroyed, this scene was also captured by the camera lens and widely spread, including the military personnel in the United States. All of them subconsciously clenched their fists and looked nervous. Everyone knew how critical the situation was. However, under the watchful eyes of hundreds of millions of viewers, Anton, who was incarnated as Batman, faced the pressure of the shells, and did not retreat a single step. Instead, he sent the Mind Scepter, which he had been holding tightly in his hand, into the protective position outside the cosmic cube. Batman, you guy. No way. Everyone was stunned. They felt that Batman would sacrifice himself for victory. The shells were getting closer and closer. In a blink of an eye, they arrived outside the apron of Stark Tower, less than 10 meters away. Ding! Exclamation mark. Finally, at the last moment, a slender figure arrived. The two protective silver bracelets collided. Boom! Exclamation mark. The overwhelming divine power wave swept across the sky, and the terrifying divine power shockwave exploded, accompanied by a divine power shield, blocking the shells outside the Stark building. Boom. The next moment, the shell exploded, and the huge shockwave, accompanied by a deafening sound, shot back from the direction of the shell. Captain America and others saw a deep gully that penetrated hundreds of meters. It directly punched a hole in several high-rise buildings. The Zetas soldiers on the way were instantly annihilated by this huge force. Hiss. Everyone took a breath, shocked by the power of the shells and the strength of Wonder Woman. Can it block such a powerful shell? Is this a god? However, Wonder Woman's forehead was sweating coldly, and it was obvious that she was under a lot of pressure. Of course, the key now is not Wonder Woman, but Batman, who is protected by her. Zzzz. The protective shield of the cosmic cube was dissipated under the effect of the Mind Scepter. Two forces of the same nature eliminated all the forces previously applied, including the control that Loki had exerted on the Avengers with his Mind Scepter. Immediately afterwards, Anton fired a laser to destroy the space gate device. Whoosh! The starry sky above his head shrank immediately. Without the energy supply of the cosmic cube, the space gate began to disappear and became smaller and smaller. At this time, Batman turned his head and looked at Connors and others who followed him. Although the huge crisis was resolved, Batman still looked calm, without any tension, as if everything was under his control. He said lightly, "You should have brought the things I asked you to bring, right?" "Of course." Connors nodded. He turned into Dr. Lizard, and he seemed ferocious, but actually revealed some excitement. "There should be more. I will take a break and write it." The earliest estimate is around 12 o'clock. It will definitely be late. Everyone will get up tomorrow morning to read it. Chapter 269. Nano Warheads. Earth's Counterattack. Kana's excitement was not only because he participated in this battle as Dr. Lizard, but also because he knew what Batman was going to do. The former was his compensation to the city, and the latter was the power of mankind to the universe and aliens. To let these aliens know that humans and the Earth are not easy to mess with. Leave him to me. While Batman was speaking, Dr. Lizard took out a special device from his bag. Others were quite puzzled when they saw this, but the members of the special forces immediately recognized it. Nano warhead. Their pupils shrank, and they looked at Batman. What do you want to do? You. Hawk clenched his fists, and his face showed the same excitement as Dr. Lizard, and there was a hint of shock. You want to drop nano warheads on them? Yes. Batman said slowly. There is always a price to pay for doing wrong things. This is the price. As he spoke, he took the nano warhead and flew into the air. On the other side, Iron Man Tony Stark, who was fighting with Cyborg, recovered instantly after Anton used the Mind Staff to break the protective force field of the cosmic cube. The two forces of the same nature collided and eliminated all the forces. A trace of confusion flashed across Tony's eyes, and Tony quickly recalled everything he had done, and his face turned pale. Cyborg and he were suspended in the air, facing each other from a distance. A few dozen meters away, Cyborg showed a faint smile. It seems that you have woken up. Cyborg's tone was calm, but in Tony's ears, there was a hint of sarcasm. So, I don't need to explain all this to you, Tony. I have more important things to do. You can find a place to stay. Someone should take you to trial in a while. Be honest and obedient. With your power and status, I think you will be despised at most, and no one will do anything to you. As soon as the voice fell, whoosh, Cyborg turned into a meteor and flew towards the direction where Batman took off. As the space gate was about to close, the two of them met at the increasingly smaller space gate. Cyborg took the nanoarm warhead from Batman and immediately rushed to the other side of the space gate. Swish. At this moment, the space gate just closed. Cyborg seemed to be completely trapped on the other side of the universe, but in fact it was not the case. With the teleportation device, Cyborg can easily be teleported back to Earth from the galaxy where the Chitauri are located. The reason why Cyborg went to the universe was, of course, because this Heaven's Coming armor did not have the ability to fight in the universe. If exposed to the space environment, the armor would quickly freeze, and the aircraft would lose its function. At that time, there was no oxygen to provide breathing, and Anton's fate could be imagined. Cyborg was different. As a half-human, half-mechanical Cyborg, Cyborg no longer needed to breathe. His body functions were all powered by the mother box, even if he didn't eat. Of course, Cyborg in the original plot seemed to still have to eat, and it was definitely not batteries, but normal human meals. But when someone asked him how he excreted, Cyborg never answered. Let's get back to the point. Just before the space gate closed, the Chitauri soldiers launched a crazy counterattack. Batman stood in mid-air, continuously shooting lasers to kill the Chitauri soldiers who were still able to move from a distance, allowing Cyborg to seize the time gap and pass through the space gate to reach the galaxy where the Chitauri were. After Cyborg passed, Green Arrow and others on the helipad below also reacted and took this opportunity to strangle the remaining Chitauri soldiers in the Manhattan area. What have I done? Tony landed on the rooftop of a high-rise building in Manhattan, his face under the mask extremely dejected. He couldn't believe that he had become the sinner who almost caused the fall of the Earth under the control of the enemy. Others who had the same experience as him, Black Widow and Hawkeye, were silent at this time as they were incomplete. Harry was probably the most shocked. However, his shock did not come from being controlled by Loki, but from seeing his father. The moment he regained consciousness, Harry suddenly stopped attacking and stood on the flying skateboard in a daze. The helmet transformed from biological armor retracted. Looking at the man in front of him wearing green armor, who looked like a goblin, his eyes were red. You are finally back. He clenched his fists, his body trembling, and he was more excited than ever before. Even when he regained control of Oscorp with the help of Green Arrow after Norman disappeared, he was not as excited as he was now. child, I'm back." Norman breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Harry recover, and then his body moved with a flying skateboard and hugged Harry tightly. "I'm back," he whispered. "I have good news. There is a cure for our genetic disease. It's really good news. Thank you, Batman." Harry breathed a sigh of relief, then calmed down his inner excitement and turned his head to look at the Zatori soldiers not far away. "Father, it's time for us to fight side by side." "Okay." Anton fought side by side with his teammates. At this time, Manhattan was no longer divided into parties and teams. The Justice League, the Special Forces, the Avengers, and the New York Police Department Task Force. 4 forces gathered together and burst out with amazing combat power, quickly clearing a large area of Chitauri soldiers left on Earth. These soldiers did not lose consciousness. Anton knew that in the comics, the Chitauri were a shape-shifting race that came to Earth in the 18th century and always tried to conquer the Earth, creating a number of events. Even the most famous World War II was the Chitauri who pushed the German Nazi party behind the scenes. What's even more bizarre is that the Chitauri have another name in other worlds, that is, the Skrulls. The plot in the movie is completely different, and the setting of the Chitauri has been completely subverted. The Chitauri and the Skrulls no longer have any connection. The leader of the Chitauri became Thanos' subordinate, and the Chitauri became a half mechanical half organic, and all combat units were controlled by the core of the mothership. In Anton's view, these soldiers were controlled by the Chitauri mothership located opposite the closed space gate, but it did not mean that they had no independent consciousness. These soldiers are like dead soldiers, accustomed to being manipulated and indifferent to life and death. Although they will not actively seek death, they will not deliberately avoid death. Especially on the battlefield, their autonomous consciousness is extremely compressed. They will hardly think about the battle situation, and will all obey the command of the commander on the mothership. At the same time, as semi-mechanical life, their consciousness is bound to the core of the mothership. Once the mothership is destroyed, they will also die. This is probably the reason why Tony sent the nuclear bomb to the side of the mothership at the end of the New York War in the original plot. After blowing up the mothership, all the Zatavio soldiers fell to the ground, including the biological battleship, and all the enemies were instantly destroyed. Let me apologize first. Then let me say that I saw some friends discussing this, so I went to restudy the movie setting of the Chitauri and found that I was negligent for a moment, and there was indeed a small bug in the front. I tried my best to round it up here. Allow me to quibble. I found that in the movie, the Chitauri were indeed controlled by the mothership, but the setting did not say whether they had self-awareness, and the mothership was destroyed in the movie, and the Chitauri died with it, and the original setting seemed unable to explain it, so I added another setting myself, similar to Binding Life. After all, they are half robots, and have the nature of machines, just like a machine cannot operate without parts. Forgive me. Also, that's all for today. Chapter 270 Destroy the Army. Liquidate the Black Hand. The space gate is closed, and the victory of the Earth is decided. The audience in front of the camera cheered and praised Batman to the extreme. In just a few blinks, if Anton checked the Batman fan value on the system panel, he would find that the 16 million he originally deducted to repair the Kingdom Come armor was immediately replenished, and even the number refreshed the new high of Batman's fan value, reaching 120 million, and this terrifying number is still rising. Many bigwigs at the military base also breathed a sigh of relief. Now the biggest crisis has been resolved, and the only things left are the Zatori soldiers who were left on Earth due to the closure of the space gate, and a few biological warships. Batman and others took action together to wipe out these alien enemies. Although the enemies no longer pose a threat to the Earth, their number is still too large. We must find a way to deal with them as soon as possible and prevent them from escaping outside the Manhattan area. Captain America frowned slightly and looked outside the Manhattan area. Whoosh! One fighter plane after another flew to the scene. The Air Force advance team of the military reinforcement finally arrived. Not enough. Rogers had a headache. Don't worry, Batman has already thought of this. Green Arrow passed by him and said lightly, "Why do you think Cyborg rushed into the universe with a nano warhead at the last moment?" Huh. Captain America was stunned and realized that there were details he didn't know. In the vast universe, a galaxy where the Chitauri are located, Cyborg rushed into the universe with a nano warhead, and the space door behind him closed instantly, but he was not in a hurry. The environment of the universe did not affect him. As a half-human, half-mechanical living person created by the mother box, most of his organs are mechanical devices. Even if he doesn't need to breathe or eat, he can survive for a long time. The energy provided by the mother box in his body is enough for him to offset the harsh environment in the universe and ignore all kinds of super intensity radiation. Is this the Chitauri mothership? Cyborg looked at the huge spaceship that was shining brightly in the dark universe in front of him. His face was expressionless, only the red electronic eye flickered slightly, as if locking onto the enemy. It's an Earthling. Attack. The moment the space gate closed, the commander on the mothership, the leader of the Chitauri, also saw Cyborg arrive in his own space. He was angry. If he messed up this battle, the leader of the Chitauri would face the wrath of the terrifying universe overlord. Kill him. The leader of the Chitauri shouted angrily, commanding the core mothership, and the biological warships in the entire starry sky all took action in an instant. Cyborg had a blank expression on his face. He locked his eyes on the position of the core mothership, raised his hand slightly, and one arm turned into a huge cannon barrel. Click. The nano warhead was loaded onto the cannon barrel that his arm had turned into. Whoosh. At this moment, countless energy rays and shells burst out from the biological warships surrounding Cyborg. Fire exploded. In the silent universe, it was like a silent space opera, followed by a wonderful fireworks show. However, this fireworks show and space opera contained unprecedented threats. Boom! Exclamation mark. There is no sound in the sky, but it is not impossible to make sound. The electromagnetic vibrations in outer space can be converted into strange sounds that humans can hear. As a half-human, half-machine Cyborg has many abilities that ordinary humans do not have, and he happens to be able to capture these electromagnetic vibrations. Boom. Boom. So, he felt the surging and exciting explosion sound produced by this explosion in space, and actually captured a unique beauty from it. If Beethoven were reborn in the universe, and heard the subtle sounds caused by these explosions, he would surely be full of inspiration, and create another masterpiece like Fate. Unfortunately, Cyborg only realized the murderous intention from it. Whoosh. The next moment, the light wave of the explosion was about to pass over his position, and the terrifying impact force would squeeze his body into scrap metal. Whoosh. The teleportation device he had activated long ago helped him leave the scene, and he changed his position without anyone noticing. Previously, he could not capture the coordinates of the galaxy where the other party was located. Now that he has arrived in this galaxy, the location that can be observed with the naked eye can naturally be sent to any place that can be seen by the naked eye through the teleportation device. Soon, the explosion ended. All biological warships from the Chitauri could no longer capture the position of the steel bone. Report. The enemy is dead. Report. The enemy is dead. In the communication channel of the Chitauri, soldiers reported layer by layer, and the news reached the ears of the Chitauri leader at the core mothership. Surprisingly, the Chitauri leader did not respond at this time. He heard the report from his men, and felt extremely ironic. Because the enemy was clearly alive and well, I don't know how to sneak into the core mothership where he is, and quickly killed most of the people on the core mothership. Now, the enemy is right in front of him. You don't look like an Earthling. The Chitauri leader tried his best to remain calm, and from him, you can still see a trace of the majesty of being the leader of a tribe. He said slowly, the technological level of the earth cannot create a strong man like you. In this universe, no one can create me. Cyborg said lightly, want to delay time. Sorry, you have no chance. In another time and space without me, the nuclear bomb can only destroy the mothership, but cannot kill you. But in this time and space, you will definitely die. Whoosh. Cyborg raised his hand to activate the nano warhead. Boom. Exclamation mark. The nano warhead burst out with great power, instantly engulfing a large part of the core mothership. The leader of the Chitauri did not even have time to say a second sentence, and was instantly engulfed by a large number of nanomolecules, and annihilated in the universe, leaving no trace of impurities. At this time, Cyborg had once again used the teleportation device to move outside the core mothership that was being engulfed by the nano warhead, quietly watching the core mothership turn into fragments one by one, and these fragments were still being engulfed and annihilated by nanomolecules. All the biological warships that were free from the core mothership immediately shut down and became a pile of half mechanical and half organic scrap metal. Perhaps if an interstellar pirate accidentally passes by this area, he will be happy to take what he needs from these downed biological motherships and sell them at a high price, but Cyborg has no interest in this. The technological level of the Chitauri is indeed much higher than that of the Earth, but the technological power mastered by the transformers of the planet Cybertron completely crushes the Chitauri, not to mention that the Earth's technology is still developed on the corpses of the Decepticons. Only the same source of technological power can improve the Earth's technology to the highest level. The biological characteristics of the Chitauri make Cyborg have no interest in studying them and obtaining spoils. As for spoils, the alien technological debris left on Earth is more than enough. Zzzzzz. Finally, under Cyborg's gaze, the core mothership was completely devoured. The Chitauri army was completely defeated and turned into a space garbage dump. Whoosh. Immediately afterwards, Cyborg left this area. I don't know how long it will take. Someone came to this area to check the situation and saw the bodies of the Chitauri army floating all over the space and was silent for a long time. Then, he went back to report. Master, they failed. Earth, Batman and others who were fighting to eliminate the remnant of the Chitauri soldiers knew that they had waited for good news from Cyborg. Swish, swish, swish. A large number of Chitauri fell to the ground, like a machine that had lost power and completely turned into corpses. This, Captain America, Steve Rogers was shocked. It seems that Cyborg succeeded. The others were excited, and the big stone in their hearts fell. It's over. Batman's tone was calm, but it was unquestionable. This war is over. But things are not over yet. Some people. It's time to be liquidated. Liquidated. Some people were shocked, and their eyes fell on Iron Man, Harry, and other Avengers members who had been controlled by their minds. Batman, they? Captain America Rogers gritted his teeth and wanted to explain to Batman, asking Batman to show mercy and let his companions go. But Batman interrupted him in advance. I'm not talking about them, but Loki. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 271. It would be best without you. Loki? After a series of battles, the highly nervous Captain America remembered Loki as the culprit. If there was no Loki, there would naturally be no War Today. In Captain America's mind, even Victor Doom was almost whitewashed. After most of the members of the Avengers were charged, he thought that Victor Doom was also brainwashed by Loki and controlled his mind. Anton didn't know what Captain America was thinking, and even if he knew, he was too lazy to explain to Captain America. Although the New York War was over, there were still many things to do afterwards. The handling of these aftermath was not a top priority. The difference was that Loki, who was rescued by Thor before, naturally ranked before these things. Whoosh. They're over there. Wonder Woman appeared. After Anton successfully snatched the Mind Scepter, Wonder Woman suddenly attacked Loki and made him fall from the building. Thor quickly took action and saved Loki again. It can be called true love. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. A group of people quickly rushed to the scene and saw Loki entangled with Thor. Seeing a group of people surrounding him, Loki had a blank expression on his face, but he was actually a little scared. The strength and ability of these people were fully revealed in the invasion of the Chitauri just now. Even in Asgard, they are elite warriors. If they rush in, Loki and Thor together will not be enough to fight. Everyone, as an Asgardian, I express my deep apologies and regrets for what happened to the Earth. Seeing this, Thor said with a stiff upper lip, but Loki is an Asgardian. He is not only my brother, but also the son of the god King Odin. I hope you can let me take him back for trial. The purpose of my coming to Earth this time is also to capture him back. Then he looked at Captain America. Please give me a favor for the sake of our fighting side by side. I can guarantee that Loki will never appear on Earth again, and Asgard will definitely give him the judgment he deserves. From now on, Asgard will become an ally of the Earth, and I will always fight side by side with you." After the voice fell, everyone in front of him remained silent. Batman looked calm, and when he looked around, he found that everyone was looking at him. Thor and Loki saw this, and understood who was the boss among the group. "Batman," Thor said, "Asgard is willing to pay for our negligence, but please understand that as a brother and a prince of Asgard, I cannot let you deal with Loki. So, I ask you to let me take Loki back." His tone was sincere, even with a hint of pleading. Loki was silent. He knew Thor's personality, and it was rare to make Thor so humble. "No, it should be unprecedented. Personally, for the sake of Odin, the king of the gods, I can let you take Loki back." Batman finally spoke. His cold eyes fell on Loki. Loki felt a chill on his back, subconsciously clenched his fists, and felt a great threat. Then, Batman's eyes shifted to Thor. "But you can't leave now." After a pause, he said, "Loki should be formally arrested by Earth. You must go through official channels and hand him over to Earth for trial, before you can transfer him to Asgard. In other words, Loki must first be imprisoned on Earth, and go through the procedures, before he can be taken back to Asgard by Thor." In addition to persuading Batman, Thor also has to persuade the officials. The officials here not only refer to the US government, but also the major countries behind the World Security Council, of course, mainly the 5 permanent members. However, with Asgard backing Loki, Loki is equivalent to going through the procedures and then being taken back to Asgard by Thor for trial. Going through the procedures is a must. If Batman and others let Loki go without authorization, there will be problems. "No problem." Thor nodded happily. "I will personally escort Loki to the prison you prepared. And, I will personally guard him, and will not let him escape." He understood what Batman meant, and breathed a sigh of relief. Anton nodded lightly. After this war, aliens are once again exposed to the eyes of the whole world. Then, the Earth will have great changes in the future. It is better to take this step in advance. Asgard will contact the Earth to open the first step for the Earth to face the universe. In this process, Loki is not the key. Moreover, as a prisoner of the Earth, Loki can also make the Earth gain a lot of benefits in the communication and contact with Asgard. This is more cost effective than killing Loki. Batman, as one of the promoters, can also gain huge reputation and gain official recognition and support from various countries. Besides, Odin is the king of the gods, and Anton does not want to provoke him for the time being. Before Superman comes out, it is not the best time to leave the Earth and go to outer space, that is, the universe. Calculated, Superman's current fan value is about 70 million. After the release of Batman vs. Superman, it will be more than enough to break through 100 million. At that time, it will be the harvest season. Speaking of which, besides Loki, there should be many people who will be sent to prison. Anton thought for a moment, as if he had thought of something, turned his head, and looked at Iron Man, Harry, and other Avengers who were tied up not far away. After this, the Avengers will be in trouble. S.H.I.E.L.D. is even more miserable. Whether the organization can be saved is a problem. The Hydra problem within S.H.I.E.L.D. can be said to be a historical problem left over from the previous generation, and this time with the alien invasion, S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers have almost become weapons of the enemy. The key lies in how the World Security Council determines the fault of S.H.I.E.L.D. Batman, the Avengers are also innocent in this matter, but please believe us, we will definitely deal with it seriously. Seeing this, Captain America spoke in a deep voice, to defend Tony and others. Unlike the original plot, although he and Tony have different habits, they don't dislike each other. As the son of an old comrade, the Frozen Age Captain America has complicated feelings for Tony, who is older than him. At least at this time, he will definitely stand on Tony's side. I don't care how they will be dealt with. Batman said calmly, maybe you think that the Avengers will be the rival of the Justice League, but in my opinion, you are not worth mentioning at all. It doesn't matter whether you are there or not. Captain America and others frowned slightly, and just as they were about to speak, they saw Batman continue to speak, disrupting their rhythm. Of course, it would be best without you. As soon as this sentence came out, the whole audience was silent. Okay. Everyone disperse. The next thing should not be done by us. As soon as the voice fell, Batman's body was sent away by a ray of light. It was the teleportation device. At this time, seeing this, other members of the Justice League also left the scene. Only the Special Forces, the New York Police Department Task Force, and the Avengers were left. They looked at each other and were silent. The rhythm of the entire New York battle was controlled by Batman. Even at the end, they had no say. At this time, they felt powerless and had nothing to say. I saw some readers saying that I was plagiarized. I guess they posted the picture without leaving the book title, but the picture was probably censored, and now I can't see it. My curiosity exploded. I had complicated feelings. Someone plagiarized a flop like me. I was angry, but also a little bit happy, as if I had become famous. Honestly, it doesn't matter if the settings are copied, as long as it's not copy and paste, I can accept it. I searched the library, but couldn't find it. It made me lose all my ideas for writing. Chapter 272. A new department is about to be established. It's over. At the military base, after the space gate was closed, John Keller, Colton and others breathed a sigh of relief. Then, they saw the fighter planes rushing to the scene. Soon, with everyone's joint efforts to fight the enemy, the alien soldiers left on Earth were defeated. However, something strange happened suddenly. The alien soldiers seemed to have lost power and collapsed to the ground, turning into corpses, and the biological warships also fell straight down. Everyone guessed that it was Batman's work. Before the space gate was closed, Cyborg took something unknown and rushed to the other side of the universe. It must be related to the sudden death of the aliens. You all saw that Batman knows these aliens better than any of us, and he has been prepared. Colton said slowly, so, now continue the previous topic, bind Anton to the military, and let him become the leader of the new department, so that Batman will work for us. Second. I agree. Passed unanimously. Seeing this, John Kohler suppressed his joy and excitement, stood up and said, then I will immediately apply to the president. After the president signs, I will find Anton, to persuade him to join us. Okay, I'll leave it to you. Colton nodded. Next, let's discuss the issues related to SHIELD and the Avengers. Hearing this, the faces of the others straightened. This is a real show. Winning over Batman is just a strategic preparation, and involving SHIELD and the Avengers will inevitably involve the World Security Council. The 5 permanent members of the World Security Council are not easy to deal with, especially the Rabbit. The end of the New York War was not only discussed by the local military, but also by major countries. All the characters who appeared in this war were clearly listed. In this battle, there were a total of 4 teams on the Earth side. The Justice League led by Batman. The Avengers represented by Captain America. The Special Forces led by Hawk. The New York Police Department Task Force led by George. Needless to say, the task force fought hard, but it was just a side job. After the battle, they picked up the garbage or spoils on the ground. Everyone admired their courage and determination to protect the city, but said that there was no need to delve into their battle. Special forces are participated by many countries and are not secret forces in the international community. Seeing the combat power of special forces, many national leaders and military representatives had some small ideas. Of course, this is not the point. The focus is on the first 2, the Justice League and the Avengers. The Justice League is the main person to solve this war. The Avengers are like a male supporting role who is a joke and a drag. Despite this, the Avengers cannot be ignored by everyone, because according to the intelligence they collected, the origin of this war came from a plan of SHIELD, to which the Avengers belong. The World Security Council has the right to inquire. Some countries are not aware of it yet, but the 5 permanent members, as the decision-making countries of the World Security Council, have basically figured out the ins and outs of this matter. They also thought that they must restrict SHIELD, and even if they did not hesitate to ban it, they must also take back the authority in SHIELD's hands. Otherwise, it would be difficult to guarantee that SHIELD would not make mistakes again. From the Washington War a few months ago to the New York War today, every major event that shocked the world was related to SHIELD. The World Security Council can no longer ignore the threat posed by SHIELD's excessive authority. On this point, the 5 permanent members of the Security Council, who were scheming against each other, unexpectedly reached a unified opinion. Of course, if S.H.I.E.L.D's authority must be taken back, even if S.H.I.E.L.D. is dissolved, then the Avengers will naturally face dissolution. The World Security Council has no idea about this. The Avengers are not a good person, and they will only drag their feet all day long. Even if these people have strong personal abilities, and are difficult to control, they are equal to zero. Soon, the countries of the World Security Council made a decision and unanimously passed the decision to take back S.H.I.E.L.D's authority. If Mariah Hill, Nick Fury and others are dissatisfied, then S.H.I.E.L.D. will be disbanded directly, and Nick Fury and others will be left to fend for themselves from then on. In short, the World Security Council will not serve them anymore. Of course, without S.H.I.E.L.D., the World Security Council must consider supporting an organization similar to S.H.I.E.L.D. They immediately thought of Anton, who had a close relationship with Batman, and was almost like him. Batman's whereabouts are uncertain, and no one can find him. It is almost impossible to actively establish contact with him. Moreover, the Wayne Company established by Anton has reached a cooperation with the US military, and the military has invested in it. We must be vigilant against the Justice League completely leaning towards a certain country, the Rabbit representative said calmly. It was obvious that he was targeting the Americans when he said this. The US representative, let me emphasize that the Justice League is a subordinate organization of our military. Batman may also be a Chinese citizen. How can you say that the Justice League has completely sided with a certain country? It itself is an organization of our country. Rabbit, huh? If you tell this to Batman, will he admit it? American, why don't you go find him? Rabbit said disdainfully, if you want to bypass Anton Jameson, can you find him? Okay. The Russian representative stopped the dispute between the two sides and said, everyone knows that none of us can truly control the Justice League. After saying that, he glanced at the US representative. Even if you use the military to bind to the Justice League, Batman will not really do things for you. I heard that the US military plans to set up a new organization to deal with the alien crisis that have emerged in recent years. The Rabbit representative's eyes flashed. We believe that this organization should not be an organization of just one country, but should be closely related to the people and countries of the world. Therefore, I propose that the World Security Council should establish this organization. Agree. Second. 4 of the 5 permanent members agreed to the proposal, leaving only the US representative with a frown on his face. Although they have a veto, it seems meaningless to refuse at this time. If the US vetoes and establishes such an organization, the other 4 countries can unite and work alone without the US, which will put the US in a disadvantageous position. I can agree, but our people must be the boss of this department. The US representative spoke last. Who are you going to recommend? The Rabbit representative asked. Anton Jameson, as the spokesperson for Batman. He is more suitable than anyone else. The US representative did not hesitate. This was something they had decided internally a long time ago, and even the president had signed and approved it. They were just waiting to issue an order for John Keller to persuade Anton to take office. The other representatives looked at each other, without hesitation, and nodded. Agree. This book will not involve the content of my motherland. Anyone who knows about American comics will understand. In addition, I found the plagiarized book. Although I just uploaded 1 chapter, the content is indeed suspected of pasting and copying. Alas, I feel that it should be written by a reader friend for fun. Here is a sincere suggestion. If you want to practice writing, you can copy my settings and the outline. The plot can be similar, but you should write the text yourself. There is no point in copying and modifying paragraphs. The Chinese translation at least shows that you put your heart into it. It's not easy to make a living. I don't care if you write for fun to practice. I don't think you can sign a contract. It's still too rough. Of course, if you sign a contract and put it on the shelves to make money, I will have to report it. Well, that's all. Chapter 273 Post-War Situation. Good news. 2 days have passed since the New York War. The New York Police Department Task Force is busy participating in the post-war reconstruction work. In a normal war, the entire Manhattan area was severely damaged. According to rough statistics, the property losses exceeded tens of billions, and the losses to the world economy could reach hundreds of billions. The casualties can be compared with the property losses. What is incredible is that the latter is surprisingly small, with only 100 casualties. Compared with this war, the casualties of citizens are a miracle. This is all thanks to Batman's reminder before the war and Cyborg's citywide broadcast more than 10 minutes before the war. As a participant in this major event, Anton was bored and lying dead at home. Eddie and Phil, the two employees of the Daily Bugle, were busy and participated in various reports on the New York War. As the designated official media of Batman, the Daily Bugle has made a big splash in various reports this time. It will definitely receive applause as soon as it appears. This is the reward for Batman fans, the fans of the Justice League, and the citizens of New York. Batman never appears casually. People can't find Batman, so they can only give applause to characters related to Batman. As the boss of the Daily Bugle, the only member of the Justice League who can show up casually, and the designated spokesperson for Batman, Anton's online information has been updated, and the word hero has been added to his introduction. Anton has gained a lot of new fans on a certain social media, even more than Tony Stark, whose number of fans has dropped sharply due to the out-of-control New York war. At the same time, the old man and John are addicted to vacation. Seeing that New York is destroyed beyond recognition and the company's operations are restricted, they simply extend their vacation and do not plan to go home for 10 days or 8 days. It is also worth mentioning that the punishment that S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers will receive is still uncertain. However, Anton heard from John Kohler that Coulson and Nick Fury, who were tied up like mummies, returned to the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters in wheelchairs with difficulty and attended the meeting of the World Security Council together with Mariah Hill. The first round of discussions between the two sides ended unhappily. Anton can imagine the funny scene of Coulson and Black Egg tied up with bandages all over their bodies, sitting in wheelchairs with only their mouths able to move, but helpless. John Kohler did not reveal what they talked about in this meeting, but it is conceivable that it was not a good thing. In addition, Kohler also said that there was one thing that might require Anton's participation, and he kept it a secret and did not reveal anything. Anton said it didn't matter. Anyway, he was sure that S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers would be in trouble, and they would have to take off half a layer of skin if they didn't die. That's enough. From now on, the Avengers and the Justice League are no longer opponents. The former lost its reputation in this war and is no longer worthy of being compared with the Justice League. Of course, for various reasons, unlike the original plot, Thor did not join the Avengers, but just joined forces to fight. Therefore, Captain America, as the only Avengers hero who did not lose control in the eyes of the public, has received a lot of praise. But this is all praise for Captain America personally, and has nothing to do with the Avengers. The key is that after this battle, another person, Harry Osborn, clearly spoke out online, revealed some inside stories of this battle, and announced his withdrawal from the Avengers. As a member of the Avengers whose mind was controlled, he, Tony Stark, and several others were taken away after the New York War. Of course, he and Tony Stark were different from others. They could afford the bail. With the huge bail paid by Oscorp and Stark Group, the two stayed in jail for only one night and were taken away early the next morning. The person who bailed Harry Osborn was Norman Osborn. Norman appeared in the public eye again, and his appearance attracted a lot of attention. Oscorp was ecstatic. As the chairman of Oscorp, Harry's bad influence in this war will definitely affect Oscorp. Before they figured out how to operate, the former chairman, Norman Osborn, who had been missing for almost a year, immediately appeared to take charge of the situation, curbed the signs of internal division with thunder, and revealed some inside information related to Batman and the Justice League, and immediately received the support of all shareholders. Stark Group was not so lucky. Fortunately, Pepper Potts was quite capable and said that Tony must be released on bail first, which synchronized with the actions of Oscorp. So far, the remaining few people arrested in the Avengers are Black Widow, Hawkeye, Dr. Octopus and Sandman, the four unlucky Avengers. It is estimated that before the discussion between the World Security Council and S.H.I.E.L.D. comes to a conclusion, they can only stay in prison and eat prison food. Anton pondered for a moment, retracted his thoughts, smiled, and focused on the business. For him, everything is going well now. Constantine's fan value is about to reach the redemption number. Although the New York War caused a certain degree of fluctuation in the number of people watching Constantine's movie, New York is only a city in a country after all. The fluctuation of the number of people watching the movie has a certain degree of influence on the box office of the movie, but it is not a decisive factor. At present Constantine's fan value has reached 28.7 million, and only more than 1 million are left to redeem it. As his first magic side hero, Anton is quite looking forward to the appearance of John Constantine. In addition, the film Batman vs. Superman is officially in the Hollywood studio and has not been affected by the New York War. New York and Los Angeles are two brothers, one in the West and the other in the East. Although they are both frequent guests in film and television dramas, they rarely meet. If one of them is beaten, the other will be eager to celebrate. Therefore, Anton is not surprised about the normal progress of the movie. Of course, the end of the New York War is not only good news for Anton, but also his actual benefits. Inside the system, Batman's fan value has exceeded 140 million. Cyborg's fan value is second, with 78 million. Wonder Woman is second to last, just staying at 50 million. Green Arrow has the least fan value, but it is also as much as 38 million. Each of these members has made amazing gains. And after the New York War, the justice value issued by the system has reached an astonishing 20 million, breaking the historical record after Transformers and Hoover Dam. At present Anton's justice value balance 25 million. It was 20 million less than the 45 million before the war, but compared to the Kingdom Come armor that had been exchanged, it was equivalent to spending 20 million to exchange for a Kingdom Come armor, which was not a loss. In the New York War, Anton felt the power of the Kingdom Come armor firsthand. Although it could not be said to be a crushing strongman, it could fight with most of the strongmen, and for those ordinary coquettish bitches, it could even suppress them with a flip of the hand. This raised Batman's combat power, and avoided the embarrassing situation of Batman's insufficient combat power in the future. Ring. While thinking, Anton received a call from John Kohler. "Mr. Kohler, what's up?" Anton picked up the phone in surprise and answered, "I thought you were busy chasing after S.H.I.E.L.D. and stabbing them." "The stabbing is almost done. The World Security Council has basically reached an agreement on the final ruling on S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers. You will hear good news soon, but I can't spoil your surprise now, so I can't tell you." Kohler said, "The reason I called you is because of another matter." Chapter 274, The Avengers disbanded. The Men in Black were established. "Oh, what's the matter?" Anton was more and more surprised, and asked in confusion, "What is it that requires me? Are you going to contact Batman, to go to the White House, to award him an honor?" "No." John Kohler smiled and said, "It's not easy to talk in detail over the phone. We need you to come to Washington immediately. I hope to communicate with you face to face about the specific situation. Don't worry, it's definitely a good thing." "Okay, I'll come right over." Anton hung up the phone, pondered for a moment, took out his mobile phone, and contacted Betty. A few hours later, a plane took off from New York and soon arrived in Washington. At the airport, Kohler personally greeted them, and the car drove all the way to the White House. "So formal?" Anton said. "Why don't I think it's a good thing? If this is not a good thing, then your requirements are too high." Kohler said. "What exactly is it?" Anton was indeed curious. He really didn't understand what benefits he could get from this. "You know, aliens have visited the Earth before the 21st century. Of course, you in the Justice League may know this fact better than us." Kohler suddenly changed the subject and said, "Since the last alien lang invaded the Earth, aliens can no longer hide, and it has become a well-known fact. After this New York battle, we realize that the Earth is ushering in a new era. The constant visits of aliens have put the Earth in a very dangerous situation." Anton interrupted, "Wait, what do you say, have to do with me? It's a big deal." Kohler said, "We originally planned to set up a special department, which will be indirectly governed by the military, and this department will be directly responsible to the White House, to deal with alien crises, and even directly represent humans in contact with aliens." Anton narrowed his eyes, and an idea suddenly appeared in his mind, and he was a little surprised. "So, you plan to invite me to join this department?" "Yes." Keller said, "We plan to invite you to be the boss of this department." Anton widened his eyes. This time he was really shocked. "Wait, you just said that you were planning to do this. What's the change now?" He came back to his senses and caught the special words in Keller's words. It was in the past tense, and it sounded wrong. "As you said, the situation has changed, but it has nothing to do with you. You are still the head of the department we chose." Keller said, paused, spread his hands, and then said, "However, when the World Security Council was discussing how to deal with SHIELD, the rabbit knew our plan in advance, so it joined forces with several other permanent members to try to intervene and change this organization from a single country organization to the United Nations. In other words, now this department no longer belongs to the United States, but to the United Nations, or the World Security Council." Anton understood and was very surprised. "Then wouldn't I become a colleague of SHIELD? To some extent, that's the case." Keller nodded, "But you don't have to worry about SHIELD. They no longer pose any danger to you. Your authority is much higher than SHIELD, not at the same level." "Our authority is so high." Anton heard the implication and raised his eyebrows. "It's not that you have more authority, but that SHIELD's authority has been forcibly reduced." Keller explained, "In fact, the World Security Council wanted to disband SHIELD, but considering some of the responsibilities SHIELD bears, they withdrew this decision. Of course, punishment is indispensable. The final decision of the World Security Council is to take back most of SHIELD's authority and only retain the law enforcement power of various countries to deal with the Hydra organization hidden around the world." Pause. "In addition, the Avengers have been confirmed to disband. They have the same understanding as people all over the world, and they all think that the Avengers are uncontrollable factors. This is indeed good news." Anton smiled. Although he felt that it would not be a pity, even if SHIELD was disbanded, he had to admit that disbanding SHIELD was not realistic. SHIELD is indeed annoying, but it also bears some responsibilities. In other words, it is a troublesome matter. Once SHIELD is disbanded, who will be responsible for these troublesome matters? Listening to John Kohler's words, we can know that SHIELD has been stripped of most of its authority by the World Security Council. From now on, SHIELD will not be able to make decisions on many things. Their main task now is to clean up their own messes, such as the Hydra organization. Of course, the disbanding of the Avengers did not surprise Anton at all. The current Avengers are not unique. The Justice League can completely replace the Avengers' mission to protect the Earth. In addition, the special forces launched by the old US military were originally used to fight against the Avengers and some of the functions of SHIELD. Therefore, the existence of the Avengers is a burden in some aspects. A burden that everyone hates. Being disbanded can be said to be not a pity to die. I was planning to wait for you to watch the news tomorrow to find out about this. After all, the existence of SHIELD and the Avengers is no secret to the public. But seeing that you are so curious, it doesn't hurt to tell you in advance." Keller smiled and said, "This is basically the ruling of the World Security Council on SHIELD and the Avengers. After all, SHIELD asked for it." Anton asked, "Did SHIELD accept it?" Keller said, "They have caused trouble one after another, and even the World Security Council is unwilling to continue to shelter them. If they do not accept such punishment, then they have no choice but to disband. Of course, they have nothing to say." "You're right, they asked for it." Anton seemed to be thinking about it, and then said, "By the way, after the Avengers disbanded, didn't you ever think about absorbing Captain America back into the military? Didn't Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, be returned to you? Haven't you ever thought about using Bucky to seduce Captain America? It's a bit troublesome. We haven't completely removed Hydra's brainwashing of Bucky." Keller restrained his smile and said seriously, "However, we do have such a plan at present. Captain America is an iconic figure of our military. It is impossible for him to be driven by SHIELD all the time." As he said that, the car stopped. "We are here." Keller said, "The new department office. From now on, this new office belongs to you. But you can rest assured that this is only your office in Washington. For various reasons, we plan to set up the headquarters of the relevant organization in New York." Anton looked up. "UFO SWAT team. This name is not very nice." Anton complained. "The name has been decided. We have prepared special uniforms for you. It is a set of black suits using new technology. It has extremely strong protective performance. Moreover, when you wear a suit and walk on the street, you look like a workplace employee. You can perfectly blend into the crowd without attracting any attention. Keller said, for this reason, there are also many high-tech equipment for you to choose from. The annual funding is enough for you to spend until your hands are soft. Black suit. Anton suddenly felt that this scene was very familiar. Men in Black? Anton pondered for a moment and was surprised. Isn't this MIB? MIB. Keller was stunned and smiled. Men in Black. This name is good. It's gone today. I'm not in good shape. I moved a lot of things and my hands are shaking. In addition, don't panic if the Avengers disbands. A new organization will be established. You can guess. I won't write it randomly. Chapter 275. SWRD and the Illuminati. Washington, SHIELD headquarters. Mariah Hill, Phil Coulson, Nick Fury, the three big bosses of SHIELD gathered together. Among them, only Hill remained standing, and the other two were tied up like mummies, sitting in wheelchairs in a miserable state. Only their eyes and mouths could move. Although it looked very funny, the atmosphere in the conference room at this time was extremely solemn. The World Security Council has made a decision. We have no chance. Nick Fury's face was gloomy. We can only regain the trust of the World Security Council by defeating Hydra. Coulson said, there is no other way. SHIELD is retiring, and the disbanding of the Avengers is inevitable. Nick, what are your plans next? Mariah Hill folded her arms across her chest. She was far less panicked than the disabled duo, and said calmly, I know you no longer plan to stay in SHIELD. Nick Fury was silent for a moment. I plan to join SHIELD. SHIELD. Coulson was shocked. Nick, the World Security Council plans to establish a UFO SWAT team whose functions will overlap with SHIELD. Are you sure that doing so will not anger the World Security Council? The existence of SHIELD is currently hidden in the dark, and only a very small number of people know about it. Even the World Security Council is not so clear about the specific scope of SHIELD. Therefore, the World Security Council will not affect SHIELD's actions for the time being. After all, they can't reach the aliens, and the world needs SHIELD. Nick Fury said, the 5 permanent members of the World Security Council unanimously decided to establish a UFO special police team to let the world know that they intend to formally unite to deal with the emerging alien crisis. In this case, SWORD is also indispensable. In the comics, SWORD is one of the 4 Marvel bureaus, similar in nature to SHIELD, composed of aliens and Earthlings, to resolve interstellar disputes. In the movie world, due to too little information, it can only be judged that the functions of SWORD are similar to those in the comics. It is composed of Skrulls and Earthlings, and was established in the last century. After Captain Marvel appeared, the director was Captain Marvel's Air Force comrade, Mariah Rambeau. The existence of SWORD gradually surfaced after the dissolution of SHIELD in the original plot. Hill was not surprised to hear this. She obviously knew something about SWORD and said, Anton will become the boss of the UFO police team. By doing this, you are competing with Anton, and he won't let you have an easy time. Although Anton is in the same camp as Batman, you and I know that he is not Batman after all. Nick Fury was very calm. He never wavered on a decision he had made. Then he said, with Carol's help, SWORD has already obtained preliminary information about the situation in the universe. The world has entered a new era, and Hydra has fallen behind. I don't plan to continue to tangle with Hydra, so I'll leave this task to you two. Batman also has a lot of information. Coulson said, he seems to know a lot about everything in the universe. It's Superman. Nick Fury said, in the movies Anton has shot so far, only Superman and Constantine have not appeared, but according to common sense, they must exist. Superman, as an alien, is likely to be on an alien planet like Carol, and has not returned to Earth. The information Batman has, is likely to be given to him by Superman. As for Constantine, you know, the world of magic is difficult for ordinary people to access. So, we and Batman have been on the same starting line from beginning to end? Coulson sighed. No. Nick Fury said, we have fallen behind. He looked determined. But we can't fall behind anymore. New York. Tony Stark received the news of the disbandment of the Avengers in advance, and his expression was unusually calm, as if he had expected it. But his eyes revealed solemnity and anxiety. Even if the Avengers did not disband, he would quit the Avengers like Harry. To be honest, the time he spent in the Avengers was definitely the most failed and darkest moment in his life. Tony never thought that he would be so hopeless. It is undeniable that all members of the Avengers have outstanding abilities, but when they are put together, it is like 1 + 1 = a negative number, which is disappointing every time. Caca. Thinking of this, he clenched his fist suddenly. Batman. Justice League. He spoke each word with a tone of helplessness and hatred. Don't get me wrong, he didn't hate Batman and the Justice League, but his own incompetence. He was powerless in the face of crisis and even let the enemy manipulate him. These irrefutable facts stabbed his proud heart more than once. It can't end like this. Tony's face was solemn. This world shouldn't have only the Justice League, a superhero group. This thought flashed through his mind. It doesn't matter if the Avengers are gone, because the existence of the Avengers and the Avengers is doomed to fail. S.H.I.E.L.D's leadership of the Avengers has no direction at all. Tony's personality is full of pride. To put it bluntly, it's arrogance. The Iron Man in the original plot is indeed great, but that was the Iron Man who became aware and voluntarily took responsibility after experiencing a series of events. In the current world, various blows have made Tony more and more paranoid. He began to think that no one could lead him to the right end, and only he could truly hold the key to his destiny. I want to set up a new superhero organization, just like the Justice League. Tony made a decision. His talent is known to the world, and the wealth he has is almost unmatched in the world. It doesn't make sense that Batman can form such a team, but he can't. So, he thought of someone. Captain America. There is no doubt that, if you want to build a superhero group, you must have a core figure like a spiritual symbol. In the Justice League, this person is Batman. As Iron Man, he can only serve as an organizer in the organization he is about to create, and it is difficult for others to regard him as a spiritual symbol. Therefore, it is necessary and imperative to absorb Captain America to join. In addition to Captain America, Tony pondered for a moment and could not find other people for the time being, so he decided to pick up the leak and send invitations to the other members of the original Avengers, except Black Widow and Hawkeye, that is, Dr. Octopus and Sandman. Black Widow and Hawkeye belong to SHIELD. If they are invited, it is difficult to guarantee whether the new organization will be infiltrated by SHIELD. This will go against Tony's original intention. In addition, he has a special candidate. His good friend, War Machine from the military, Rhodes. As for the name of this new superhero group, Tony thought for a while, and finally made a decision. Illuminati. Ahem. Everyone guessed it right, but apart from the Illuminati, there seems to be nothing to guess. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.